around me have a lot of respect for me. That's been pretty much it. And then, you know, I was raised by my parents. I think they did a great job, and hopefully that prepares me for wherever I end up.
And the potential is Baltimore. How about dealing with a lot of veterans on a team?
Well, that's something that you got to do as a rookie, especially as a quarterback. You got to go in and you got to earn their respect and just be one of the guys. So that's how I'm going to approach it, and hopefully it works out.
All right, good luck, Matt.
Thank you.
Chris?
All right, Susie, Matt, thank you very much. Well, the Miami Dolphins earned the right to pick first in this draft. The Dolphins won only one game last year. They were 1-15. Out goes the regime, and 1 year at head coach was Cam Cameron, and Bill Parcells was hired to be president. Jeff Ireland, the new GM, and the new coach is Tony Sperano. Their quarterback situation, well, who knows? John Beck, the youngster, BYU. Josh McCown. Look, when you're 1-15, you could use improvement all over. One of the faces of the franchise, Zach Thomas, gone. He's now Dallas. Who Jason Taylor get traded today? Even despite the fact that Taylor still played last year with the Dolphins and played well, they were last in rush defense. But when Bill Parcells takes over, they want to run the football. And hence, Jake Long, big tackle, Michigan, is their #1 pick. And Mel, we saw Joe Thomas go very high last year, was a standout with the Cleveland Browns. Jake Long, Joe, just where do they rank for the fans of just recent memory?
Different styles of players. But I think you look at Joe Thomas was a consummate pass blocker. Run blocking was good, not great. Jake Long, exactly the opposite. He is a dominant run blocker. You're talking about moving defenders off the line of scrimmage. You watch him here, number 77, 6'7", 315 pounds, did 37 reps at the combine. This kid, his punch move you talk about, the way he drives into that second level, sustains his block. This kid is an incredible run-blocking left tackle. You see him here in terms of his intensity. He sustains that, plays with a defensive mentality, plays with a mean streak. As I said, attacks at second level. No question. You talked about a kid underrated athletically. Now, he only played left tackle the last 2 years, was a right tackle. Pass blocking, he's a work in progress, admittedly. You go back to Vernon Golson, had 1 sack he allowed. That was the only sack all year. And the thing that impressed me, 2 seasons at left tackle, little inexperience, this whole season, 13 games, never flagged for a penalty for him. The kid's technically sound, and he knows Bill Parcells is the next Jumbo Elliott, former Michigan Wolverine, turned New York Giant, with, by the way, a Super Bowl ring or 2.
And Coach Parcells looked at Jake Long as well as Chris Long and said, I need somebody on his interior lines to get after the quarterback or protect my quarterback, and they chose Jake Long because they're settling right now with Beck as their quarterback. And when you look at Matt Ryan, he's going to slide out of their favor, and he picked up a tackle that reminds him a lot of Jumbo Elliott or Flozone Adams who we had with in Dallas. Now they have a chance to have a building block, Steve.
Absolutely, a building block that's a metaphor for the Miami Dolphins. The structure coming from flat on their back. Now they've got their foundation. He is the metaphor for that first pick in the Bill Parcells Miami Dolphin era. He is the foundation of a great running game. He's more than just that big. And look at the timing of when Bill Parcells signed him 4 days before. You know, a lot of times they'll sign the first round pick, but not that far into the dance. What is Bill Parcells saying? I'm going to be decisive, we're going to be confident, and that's who the Miami Dolphins are going to be. I think Jake Long speaks to all those things.
Well, the one thing that they give him, like you said, is he gives him some solid foundation on an offensive line that he has started to rebuild in the offseason, Chris.
Well, Bill Parcells has a lot of draft picks here. He is trying to build a 53-man roster, and I think as you go through this day, we know that the name Jason Taylor is going to come up here. Certainly, if a team wants to close the gap to a championship, whether it be a Chargers, Jacksonville Jaguars, or what have you, maybe he goes here.
Hey, Keyshawn, you're one of the few that knows what it's like to be selected #1 overall in the draft. Jake Long, #1 in this year's draft with Susie right now.
Yeah, and he's had an opportunity to just relax and enjoy New York for a couple days. What does it represent to be #1 overall in the draft?
It's such a great honor, and it's such an elite group, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And you know, I'm going to go out and work hard and prove to everybody it was the right choice.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Chris.
I tell you what, that's what you want. An offensive lineman with just few words.
Yes, right. I speak with my feet, my hands, and I speak with people on their pancake on their back.
Yes, a pancake or 2. And so, we are done with our pregame, if you will, our on-the-clock Sports Center special. When we return, the 2008 draft will kick off.
Hello.
NFL Research Facility, 1-2008.
Initiate instant access.
Refresh player selection. I need access to mainframe. Access granted. Locating Glenn Dorsey, Jake Long, Darren McFadden, Matt Ryan.
We have visual confirmation.
Initiate 2008 NFL Draft presented by Coors Light.
You can see the scene at Radio City Music Hall. Normally, you sit and you watch a show at the holidays, maybe watch a movie full of Rockettes, but this, and the last weekend of April, this is football. And at Radio City Music Hall for 3/4 of a century, great entertainment. We bring you those who hope to entertain on the football field.
2008 NFL Draft was held at Radio City Music Hall in New York City,
has had their
New York.
annual selection meeting, commonly known as the NFL Draft. These are some of the names and faces you'll get to know. Matt Ryan, the personable quarterback from Boston College. Chris Long, the defensive lineman from Virginia, the son of Hall of Famer Howie Long. Will he make it long and long in the draft? We know. At Glenn Dorsey, many have him rated the highest, the defensive tackle from the champion LSU Bayou Bengals. He's here with us in New York. A half a dozen of the best players are here in New York as everybody gets set with a change of fortune of your favorite team and maybe not your favorite teams as we step up with Steve Young, the Hall of Famer.
This is one of the top-tier
Keyshawn
NFL draft
Johnson, the
classes
#1
in the
pick from
21st century.
a few years ago. Chris
Especially in
Mortensen,
the
Tin
2000s.
Man extraordinaire, and for the silver anniversary of the NFL Draft, it is Mel Kiper. Welcome. I'm Chris Berman, and that is the Commissioner of the National Football League, Roger Goodell. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, football fans. Welcome to the 2008 NFL Draft. Today and tomorrow, we welcome 252 great college football players to the National Football League. We appreciate your enthusiasm, and we hope you enjoy the new streamlined format of the draft. As you know, the first choice belongs to the Miami Dolphins. And I have that choice. With the first pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jake Long, Sr., Michigan.
It began once upon a time in February 1936 when Jay Berwanger was the first man selected. Not to quite the fanfare that we have here in New York. And I don't know if that jersey's going to fit Jake right there. I have my doubts.
Daryl, your Permians.
No, that's right. And Jake Long will be the pancake blocker. He joins Hall of Famer Ron Yeri and Rams tackle Orlando Pace is the only tackle since we began the unified draft in '67 to be picked #1. We'll be back.
Coach, Coors Light is the world's most refreshing beer. Am I right?
Any doubt is there?
No.
Okay, we're on the same page at least on one thing.
Coach, Coors Light in bottles, cans, or kegs, do they all deliver tremendous refreshment?
They all do.
Coach, I like Coors Light poured from a tap. What's that called again?
Who knows what that's called? That's the draft, okay?
Frost Brewed Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Coach, a beer that tastes as cold as the Rockies. Your thoughts?
There's a mountain that can be climbed.
See you at the top, buddy.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
Fact is, sports fans are switching to DirecTV because they have hands down the most sports in HD. What we need is a distraction. Wow! Look who's right on time. Anywhere between 10 and 2, it's Cable's Bikini Installers.
This is crazy.
I know. How has no one thought of this yet?
For sports and games you can't get with cable, call 1-800-DIRECTV.
The Dolphins would go on to select Jake Long with the first pick in the 2008 NFL Draft. He came out of Michigan and go on to become a great offensive tackle in the National Football League.
Of preparation. The fate of a franchise hangs on a 4x6 card. Be a part of the action. Get the NFL Draft Pad at nflshop.com.
We are back in New York, and that's the scene in Miami. Not a lot of suspense there, but Bill Parcells, now the president, with us last year. He'll be with us in about 4 years, don't worry. But right now, he's president of the Miami Dolphins with Jeff Ireland, the general manager, Tony Sperano, and nuts and bolts, got a blue-collar type coach who coached under Parcells at Dallas, coached with the Chargers at the University of New Haven once upon a time, and that's now the brain trust. Now, we have Jake Long to Miami. Here's Chris Long, Mom Diane, Dad Howie, and the St. Louis Rams. They are the next ones on the clock. And they'll be opened up as Moment, Miami, St. Louis, Atlanta, Oakland, Kansas City, the Jets, 18-1 New England, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and New Orleans. That's our top 10. So we have a lot of movement here at the top today, Mort.
Yes, we at least have a lot of talk. Certainly we know that the Rams have been fielding phone calls for that second pick, where they are poised to take Chris Long, the Virginia defensive end. They've taken calls from the New Orleans Saints. They've taken calls from the Baltimore Ravens. If it falls the way we think it's going to fall, the first 3 picks, with Chris Long going second, and then Matt Ryan of Boston College going third. Even at Oakland, you can see the New Orleans Saints maybe targeting Glenn Dorsey. I think from 4 to 10, you have teams that could move up or move back.
Well, it was not long ago that the St. Louis Rams were winning a Super Bowl. They were in a Super Bowl, and even if they weren't in it, they were a factor. They were sort of push the envelope offense, but things changed for the Rams. Last year, they took forever to win a game. They're 3-13. They're among the worst in points scored and points allowed. Isaac Bruce gone, the storied receiver for the Rams, now a member of the 49ers. Torrey Holt, still an outstanding receiver, openly clashing, which is not his style, with Coach Scott Linehan. With losing will make that happen. The offensive line, Orlando Pace and right on. It was just shuffleboard for the St. Louis Rams. And so, obviously, the Rams can use a lot here. I mean, they can go a lot of directions, and it just, they're back to kind of the Rams that, well, I hate to say, you might once remember with the
same old Rams. I think you're right. I think that if you took a wide brush and wanted to define the Rams since they won the Super Bowl, they'd underachieved to their talent, maybe more than anyone in the league. What I think they needed is heart. That's easy to say. How do you get that? Well, Chris Long, the way he practices, the kind of person he is in the locker room, leadership, example, a lot to ask from a young kid, but Jerry Rice, the way he practiced, drug a whole generation of players for the 49ers. Chris Young, the way he practices and plays, there's no reason why he can't bring that element of heart, esoteric in its, you can't talk about how fast he runs or anything, but anything else, Keyshawn, he can bring that heart.
And they need that toughness, and I think Chris Long brings that to this football team. If you think about the Rams when they were going on and trying to win Super Bowls, or even when they won the Super Bowl, they had toughness. Guys like Marshall Faulk and Grant Wistrom and Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt was not happy last year because he seen that in the locker room. That was something that he saw very well, Mel.
I think, Keyshawn, it got down to Glenn Dorsey and Chris Long from the St. Louis Rams, 2 kids who have great attitude and approach to the game of football. Both kids make everybody around them better. But I think what it got down to here was Adam Carricker, the first-round pick out of Nebraska last year. He's up to 315 pounds, played defensive tackle. That's his best position, not defensive end. You got to balance it out. Chris Long certainly has a defensive end, relentless and instinctive. You talk about locating the football, he can do it as well as anybody. And I tell you talk about productivity, he can do that as well. And I think week in and week out, he's giving you the same effort. There's not an up and down situation. Glenn Dorsey as well. I think he's the best football player in this draft. Talk about late this season, he had a chop block, knee injury against Auburn, played through it. You talk about a kid, the will to win that he gave LSU, who won a national title. A lot of that came from the heart and the emotional play of a Glenn Dorsey, who I think is a spectacular football player, Boone.
Either one of them would look impressive in Rams colors, but Chris Long is with our Susie Colbert right now. Suze?
Yeah, it's a lifetime of work, and pretty much you'll know in about about 3 minutes. How do you explain what's going on inside?
I mean, you just got to, stay calm if you can and realize that whatever happens is really for the best. Everything happens for a reason. So I'm just excited to play. Let's get this over with.
Can you ever remember wanting a phone to ring so bad?
Doing what?
For a phone to ring so
yeah,
bad?
my mom's phone just rang, and we all looked at the bat phone there, and it was just her. She had good job, Mom. It's called Vibrate.
Minute away. Mort.
It has been a very interesting week with the Rams. Yes, Glenn Dorsey was their top-rated player, but as they move closer to decision, it's a need-based draft. Chris Long and Dorsey were close on the board. There was a consensus that it was going to be Chris Long, but they even had a scenario where they discussed whether or not they should take Darren McFadden because Steven Jackson, their running back, his contract's up in a year, but they decided, hey, it's got to be Chris Long. They went golfing yesterday, Boomer, the whole organization basically, and came back last night.
Who won?
They came to the consensus. Nobody, if I know the guys who were playing golf in that course. They came back to that consensus, though, at the end of the night, that they were at peace with Chris Long as their guy.
Well, we'll find out. The pick is in. The second pick in this 2008 NFL Draft. Jake Long won to Miami. We knew that on Tuesday. Now we'll know about the Rams.
Okay, with the second pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Chris Long, defensive end, Virginia.
Now the Rams go on with the second pick in the 2008 NFL Draft to go on to select Chris Long. Chris Long and Jake Long, though, they had no family connections, but it was cool to see two Longs being drafted in the first two picks of the 2008 NFL Draft, and Chris Long was out of Virginia and would go on to become a great defensive end in the National Football League.
In the middle, I mean, how do you think he's best suited?
I think for St. Louis, Boom, as a down defensive end, I'll tell you what, going one-on-one is going to be something he didn't do at Virginia. He had to play through a lot of resistance in that 3-4 defense. You see him here, always double, triple team, relentless football player. You look at that instincts to locate the football. 79 tackles this past year, despite the fact that everybody knew who they had to block, who they had to handle. You look at that here, batting passes down. Did 9 of those interception as well on that play. Instinctive, locates the ball, great awareness, and the ability to talk about athletically. I think very underrated. This kid, I think, athletically, as good as most of the defensive ends that come into the NFL as high picks the last 4 or 5 years. I like the productivity. 23 quarterback hurries this past year, 19 stops behind the line of scrimmage, and 14 sacks, despite the fact that everybody knew who they had to block, and he played in a defensive scheme that, hey, he never went one-on-one, Boom. At defensive end for the St. Louis Rams, he will have that opportunity.
Well, a bit of history here. Only the 5th time now that a player has been drafted who is the son of a Hall of Famer. Kellen Winslow, son of Kellen Winslow, of course, a few years back with the Browns. Not all necessarily first-round picks. Mike Shula, son of Don Shula, was drafted. Brian Griese, now with the Bucs, but drafted way back with Denver, son of Bob Griese. And Anthony Dorsett, son of Tony Dorsett. And now we have Chris Long, son of Howie Long. So 5 Hall of Famers now have seen their sons enter the National Football League. And if you talk about pedigree, I feel pretty good about pedigree right here. And so now, remember, only 10 minutes a pick. The Atlanta Falcons now are on the clock. Now this will be the question of Matt Ryan. And does Matt Ryan go to Atlanta? It's been quite a year in Atlanta because at this time a year ago, no one knew what would happen with Michael Vick, Coach Bobby Petrino, and as a result, so many other of the named players that you thought you knew with the Atlanta Falcons, they're long gone. What a 12 months it's been.
After agreeing yesterday in court to enter a guilty plea in the dogfighting case, Michael Vick was suspended indefinitely without pay by NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
We have a chance next year, the way the NFL works, led by Bobby Petrino, to really get better this coming year.
The Atlanta Falcons coach Bobby Petrino will resign.
I don't know if I feel used, I feel abused at the moment.
Falcons earlier in the day said they had an agreement in principle with Parcells. Parcells says no, and now negotiating with Miami.
The Falcons, it seems, may finally have their man. They've offered the job to Jaguars defensive coordinator Mike Smith.
I'm thrilled to be a part of this organization.
And so that's been a year that they would like to forget in Atlanta, and maybe they have a chance in a few minutes to start anew. Rachel Nichols is at Falcons headquarters. Rachel, what's the buzz there?
Well, Boomer, after all that, you won't be surprised that owner Arthur Blank has told me that he is looking at this draft to be a milestone in the history of the organization. And all the signals the Falcons have been sending out this morning is that they want Matt Ryan to lead that milestone day. Now, there is still a big pull in this building for Glenn Dorsey. They really like him. But when I spoke to GM Thomas Dimitroff a little while ago, he said that Ryan is certainly worth the number 3 pick. They love the whiteboard session they had with this kid, and they really felt like he was obsessed with football in that Peyton Manning mode. So while there is still that pull for Glenn Dorsey, anytime you start saying the name Manning, well, that becomes a little hard to pass up. Boomer?
All right, Rachel, well, a picture may be worth 1,000 words, and we're just guessing right now, but should the Falcons just get this done, Steve, and say, look, with everything that's happened, let's turn the page, turn a whole other book over, and start with the face of the franchise.
Let me tell you, Boomer, if they don't do it right here, there's no other opportunity today or a year from today to get it done and get a franchise stamp at quarterback and fill the vacancy that is Michael Vick. And if you don't, Michael Vick gets out of prison in 18 months. And as he gets closer and closer, the community, other people will start to say, we need another chance at Michael Vick. And now the ownership and the whole organization is going to have to deal with whether they won't or will deal with Michael Vick. Today's the chance. If you don't want that to happen, fill the vacancy with the last chance you have right now, this second, in the next 8 minutes.
Is he ready to come in and play and start right now?
Well, I think he's ready to come in and start right now, but I think you can get a quarterback in this draft. I think you select some players. You have a bunch of players. As a first-time head coach in the National Football League, you need to win football games, and this quarterback alone can't win those football games. You have to build through the organization, but the Atlanta Falcons are picking, not me.
All I know is that they did have a great love for Glenn Dorsey. And their new coach, Mike Smith, comes from Jacksonville, where they had those twin tackles, Don Henderson and Marcus Stroud. It would have fit perfectly in their defense. But they do have a lot of draft picks. They got 3 second-rounders. And they end the question mark at quarterback with the selection of Matt Ryan. And a former Falcons assistant, Jeff Jagodzinski, now the Boston College coach. And boy, did he put his stamp of approval on this guy for the Atlanta Falcons.
Sometimes there's issues that are bigger than even what's on the field. And this one is one of those situations where you can talk about players, their qualities, not Glenn Dorsey, but the truth is this is a bigger issue. And we'll see what happens in the next couple seconds.
Well, there are the smiles. We'll see if it's official. As the pick is in, the Falcons, third selection, turnover, literally a new leaf, we think. With Matt Ryan, the quarterback from Boston College, who just has what so many people say, Mel, is it.
Well, if you think about the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Schaub gone to Houston. Michael Vick, you know the situation there. They need a face of the organization. Steve Young's been talking about it all week. I think very accurately, you talked about the Atlanta Falcons. The gamble that they could get the second quarterback, or maybe even the third, depending upon, say, what Baltimore does to jump back.
With the third pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Matt Ryan, quarterback, Boston College.
Wow, what a pick the Falcons made here. The Falcons with the third pick in the 2008 NFL Draft go on to select Matt Ryan, quarterback out of Boston College. He would become a superstar quarterback in the National Football League and would lead the Falcons to a Super Bowl appearance. He is currently the president of football for the Atlanta Falcons.
The friend, and now the emotion in Atlanta. This young man that grew up outside of Philadelphia, went up to school in Boston, and now will be headed to learn how to speak with a slight southern drawl.
And I think, Boone, for Arthur Blank, turn the page. It's a new era now of Atlanta Falcon football with Matt Ryan at the helm. You talk about a kid who carried a football team that did not have great receivers, a great offensive line, or great running backs. Matt Ryan, you talk about his size, 6'4", 3/4", about 228 pounds. Arm strength may not be great, but it's very good. His accuracy is what I like. This kid, even when he was pressured, could throw strikes down the field. And remember, he played in the Steve Logan, Jeff Jagodzinski offense this year. Put the ball up a lot more than he did in a conservative offense from his first 3 years at BC. That's why he had 19 picks. Coming from behind, put the ball up a lot more. That's more interceptions you talk about this past year than his first 3 years overall. He had 18, 19 this year. But hey, Terry Bradshaw won Super Bowls MVPs even though he threw some picks. You got to take chances down the field. Managing a game's fine, but Matt Ryan, I think, knows, hey, when I have to be a gunslinger, I got to elevate my football team. I can do it. The Virginia Tech game in bad weather, down 10-0, looked like the game was over 5 minutes ago. He rallied the troops through a great strike, rolling left, threw back across the field, found Andre Callan, the running back, for the touchdown. That was the signature play from Matt Ryan.
Change everything. Change everything. And look, it's a new coaching staff. They have a veteran, Chris Redmond, the Louisville. In this day and age, Stephen Mort, should he sit most of the year? Just start right away? What's it?
Well, I think from this moment on, every breathing second that the staff, the organization has to support this kid. You put your stake in the ground, which they've done right now. From now on, it's about supporting this kid and giving him a chance. And that might mean that he plays right away. He's tough. He can take the pressure. He can actually make enough plays as a young player that can move the ball down the field, even though he doesn't know the game as well, the pro game, I mean. He can do that and protect them, but they're going to have to do everything they can in this draft throughout the offseason, trying to get ready to support this kid to be successful.
Just a couple of minutes ago, he began to know the pro game. Matt Ryan with Susie Collins.
Well, you dream and you dream, and what's it like when the moment happens?
I'm just pumped to be a Falcon. It's unbelievable to be out here on the stage, and I'm just so excited that I'm going to be heading down to Atlanta to play for a great organization.
When I say Atlanta, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Winning games. That's the first thing we got to do, is go down there and try and win some games.
Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you.
A lot of people in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts will be buying Falcons gear. For the first time since '75, the ACC has had 2 picks in the first 3. It's been a long time since Randy White and Ken Huff were drafted the side. When we return, the Oakland Raiders.
Coors Light. It's a frost-brewed beer. It's a beer brewed down as cold as 34 degrees. Aged cold, filtered cold, put into bottles, cans, and kegs. Cold. Why? We know you like cold beer. So ask for a beer with a taste as cold as the Rockies. Because refreshment isn't everything. It's the only thing. Frost-brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
Tonight, the dominating Celtics look to take a 3-0 lead over the Hawks, followed by a pivotal Game 4 as the Rockets try to level their series with the Jazz. The NBA playoffs continue tonight on ESPN.
SignCompaniesOnline.com. Just enter in a city or zip code and instantly connect with local sign companies who specialize in banners, vehicle graphics, and many other types of signs. For a new image or just updating your look, it's all on SignCompaniesOnline.com.
The Lenovo ThinkPad has a magnesium alloy roll gauge, making it one of the very strongest notebooks out there. We just wanted to remind you, we have brains, too. Protect your ideas. Lenovo ThinkPad, powered by Intel Centrino with vPro, ultra durability and performance.
Switch your old dandruff shampoo to one that's clearly different. New Selsun Blue Naturals. Clearly stops flakes and itch.
So soft.
Clearly gentle with vitamins and botanicals. New Selsun Blue Naturals.
The difference is clear.
NFL Research Facility, 1-2008.
Initiate instant access.
Refresh player selection. I need access to mainframe. Access granted. Locating Glenn Dorsey, Jake Long, Darren McFadden, Matt Ryan.
We have visual confirmation.
Welcome back to the 2008 NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light.
Well, the green room is 3 for 3 thus far. Will it be Glenn Dorsey with this Oakland Raiders selection? Will it be Darren McFadden, running back, Arkansas? The Jet fans are hoping, and their team picks 2 from now, that McFadden will still be in the green room without a hat on. They would like to see him wear green and white. But the Oakland Raiders, a team that you can't say at 4-12, had a great year, but the year before they were 2-14, so maybe, just maybe, and remember, it's the only time we're going to hear from them until later tomorrow. They have no 2, they have no 3. If they want to make a big-time impact, does Al Davis remember when he drafted Marcus Allen in the first round once upon a time? How'd that work out? Is this where they're headed, Mort?
There's no question, unless there's some colossal trade that blows Al Davis away. Remember, Al Davis likes to collect trophies. 2-time Doak Walker Award winner is Darren McFadden. 2-time Heisman Trophy winner, runner-up, Darren McFadden. And Lane Kiffin, the head coach of the Raiders, was at USC as an offensive coordinator, and they utilized Reggie Bush so many different ways. Darren McFadden is a big Reggie Bush. They've spent a lot of money on defense, and this guy is a perfect fit for what they want to do and take some pressure off a rookie quarterback, Jamarcus Russell.
Wait a minute, big Reggie Bush, but isn't he closer to Adrian Peterson?
Well, you know, that lower body strength may not be, yeah, I mean, in terms of impact on the game, there's no question he can have an impact on the game, but he can go catch the ball. He's a versatile player, and that versatility, but he's 6'2", 215. They can do a bunch with Darren McFadden, and he can hit the home run with one swing, yes.
Well, look, we all found out what Adrian Peterson did for the Vikings, made them now into a team that everybody wants to see and maybe get in there. And so perhaps the Raiders figure, hey, what better way back? And you know that rookie running backs, that's one of the positions that as a rookie you can have a huge impact seeing Peterson. Al knows that.
No question. And he's got his bookend. You know, everyone's like those triplets. Well, he's got 2 of the triplets with Jamarcus Russell last year, Darren McFadden this year. I like Darren McFadden going to the Raiders. He's going to be well coached by Tom Rathman. He's going to have a great system. He seems like a kid that really wants to play great football. If there's issues with him, I think he can leave them behind in Arkansas. He's more than a Southwest flight away in Oakland. He's going to be able to put it. You talk about a stake in the ground. He can put a stake in the ground. His sister's going to go with him to Oakland, a great city for him. I think that Darren McFadden fits very nicely with the Oakland Raiders.
And when you said just the Reggie Bush factor, when I evaluated him, Chris, he looks exactly like Reggie Bush.
There it is.
With the 4th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Darren McFadden, running back, Arkansas.
And what's interesting is you come in with all your questions in this, and Matt Ryan, if he doesn't go, they're going to trade, and Darren McFadden, if he doesn't know we're going to trade, sometimes you sit there, you play your hand, Ryan 3, McFadden 4.
Well, I'm sure putting the defensive players on the board was tempting, but keep in mind, they spent a lot of money on the defensive side of the ball, trading for D'Angelo Hall, re-signing Tommy Kelly. You look at Darren McFadden's versatility, and we're talking about at Arkansas, what he meant in that wild hog offense, playing quarterback, doing a lot of things with Felix Jones. You talk about speed. Runs a 4.340 at 6'1 1/4, and a rock-solid 215 pounds. An explosive kid. Talk about going 40 yards in a blink of an eye. Just give him a crack in the line. He can do it. So I think you look at a kid like Darren McFadden. Can he catch the football? Yes. Here he's running out of the quarterback position in that wild hog package at Arkansas. Catches the ball. He'll block for you. The thing that I really like,
the Raiders with the 4th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft go on to select Darren McFadden, running back out of Arkansas. And he would go on to have a great career in the NFL for 10 seasons.
That's a 7.3-yard average, 5 touchdowns. I talk about a kid who did it against the best in college football in the SEC. He did it. And I think the word game breaker, the word explosive, and I think you put Justin Fargas, you got Michael Bush coming off the injury, now a loaded running back position to help out Jamarcus Russell.
Look, 4,500 yards, almost 6 yards a carry, 41 touchdowns. Hello. He's a Raider. Sequestered in the corner here at Radio City Music Hall are Mike Tirico, along with Kirk Herbstreit and Ron Jaworski. Fellas, McFadden, as we suggested yesterday, the best evaluator in the NFL told me, Mike, the stuff surrounding McFadden is just stuff. Don't worry about it.
And some of that stuff is, we reported about 45 minutes ago, a couple of brothers who were in gangs, a couple of other brothers of the 12 children in bar fights. McFadden got in to help out the mom, a recovering crack addict, clean, she says, for 6 years. Still going to be a big part of the scene. You may have heard those details before. the football player and the person. You think in Oakland a good fit?
Well, I don't know if it's a good fit. Jaws could tell us that, but I know what kind of kid he is, and he's an outstanding football player. Think about playing in the SEC. By far, the greatest defenses in college football every year. The fastest defenses are in the SEC. 3 years, over 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns in that conference, plus his versatility. If the league enjoyed Adrian Peterson this year, wait till they get a look at this young man. If he has this, Jaws, if he has this supporting cast around him, you tell me, does he fit in and does he have some things to work with there?
Yes, Kirk. The happiest man right now in Oakland is Jamarcus Russell. Because a quarterback, particularly a young quarterback in that embryonic development stage, as is Jamarcus Russell, when he can do this, when he can reach that hand out there and make that play fake, oh, I'll tell you, it makes the pass game that much better. I just have one concern about Darren McFadden. His agility going sideways, that mobile lateral movement, he just doesn't show that speed, but not that agility.
Kansas City's on the clock. They're sitting at the 5 spot. Does somebody want to come up and get Glenn Dorsey? He and Vernon Golston of Ohio State wait in the green room as the draft continues with the Chiefs on the clock.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
All new prototypes leave everything behind.
We started this thing. It's us versus them. The game has changed. It all starts today. You are the new prototypes. We are Under Armour. The future is ours!
This Monday night, 2 high-powered offenses in a battle of the undefeated. The Showdown, Dallas, Philly. Watch Russell Athletic ESPN Arena Football Monday at 8 as the Desperados battle the soul on ESPN2.
ESPN's coverage of the 2008 NFL Draft is presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer, and in part by Hummer, like nothing else, and Under Armour. Stop training in your running shoes. On May 3rd, Under Armour introduces performance training footwear. Reserve yours today.
Yes, Saints are working hard.
The Kansas City Chiefs are certainly in the rebuilding mode. They were in first for a little bit in the AFC West, but they lost their last 9. They have 12 picks, including 2 in the first round. Will the first one be Glenn Dorsey, defensive tackle, LSU? Wendy Nix is up to date in Kansas City. Wendy, you can talk to me.
Boomer, there's a lot to say, certainly a lot to say in the war room here in Kansas City. We talked earlier about this being a fluid situation. It is still literally a debate, a rapid-fire discussion inside that war room. Take Dorsey, a player many believe, this team believes, one of the best players in the draft, or trade down. An offer on the table right now from the New Orleans Saints for 2 additional draft picks. Herm Edwards said as little as half hour ago he wants more picks. Even so, now that the reality is there, that Glenn Dorsey is on that board, he is a very, very good player and difficult for this Chiefs team to walk away from. They're going to take every single minute. They believe, though, they can't lose either way. Boomer?
All right, Wendy, thank you very much. And Glenn Dorsey, and Mel, you can attest to it, but Mort, we'll start with you. Many of the teams had him the top-rated player on their board, right?
No question about it. And it's a great pick for the Chiefs if they make this. And I know the Saints have been desperately trying to trade up. But a player like this, at this point, too good to pass up.
You know, except for the Chargers, you know, the AFC West now, Denver, we don't know. And obviously, Kansas City and Oakland are rebuilding. I mean, obviously, we know who the top team is, but in this division, room to move.
Well, think about this. You just got LaDainian Tomlinson in your division, and here you have Darren McFadden now with the Raiders. Better get somebody to stop those guys.
Well, then you got Glenn. What he brings also, as we talked about with Chris, that heart, that practice mentality, that leadership. The Chiefs are kind of floundering, so these first picks are really mattering.
Kansas City Chiefs select Glenn Dorsey, defensive tackle, LSU.
And they had a decent defense last year, so when you're not a very good team, try to get strong on one side of the ball.
And it's a young football team, so picking him at this position will help them out significantly. Like you said, it gives them that Chris Long thing, Chris.
Well, Glenn Dorsey was a guy, Kirk Herbstreit, you got to know very well as LSU won a national crown last year, and Dorsey can just make it happen no matter how many guys are on him in the interior, right?
Well, Boom, there's no doubt about it. This guy is the total package. Just talking to Bo Pelini, his defensive coordinator, earlier this morning about him. He thinks he's the best defensive lineman he's ever seen. Obviously, he has everything you're looking for with the power up front. Looking at a guy that's 6'1", 300 pounds, the unique combination of power, but also the ability and the quickness to penetrate, disrupt the running game, and also put pressure on a quarterback. I think he's the best defensive tackle that I've seen in the last 13 years of watching the elite level of college football because of his ability to control the line of scrimmage with his size and use his quickness to get up, as I said, into the backfield. This guy is a major disruptor, and as good as I think we've seen it again. Another guy coming out of the SEC with the great speed.
I think you look at it, and I think Kirby touched on it, when you look at a guy like Glenn Dorsey, I think he's the
Chiefs
best football
with the
player
fifth pick
in
in the
this draft.
2008
Powerful
NFL Draft
and
goes
explosive.
to
For Kansas
Glenn
City,
Dorsey,
they need
defensive
offensive
tackle out
line
of
help.
LSU.
They need
He would
defensive
also
end
have
help.
a
But here's
great
the
career in
defensive
the
back. You've got
NFL.
Alfonso Boone,
The
Ron
National
Edwards,
Football
and
League.
Tank Tyler. Serviceable, okay players. That's it. This kid is a difference maker, a penetrator, and obviously a lot of picks. They got 17 from Minnesota. A lot of picks in this draft with Carl Peterson. They get quality players on both sides of the ball into this rebuilding process for the Kansas City Chiefs.
5 for 5 in the green room. Glenn Dorsey goes to the Chiefs with our Susie Colbert. Suze?
What was the feeling when the phone rang?
Oh, I just started shaking. I was hoping there was something positive. We've been sitting back there, and I'm just excited to be a Chief,
What did the voice on the other end say? Who was it?
It was the general manager. He called me. He told me how would I like to be a Chief. He put me on the phone with the head coach, and they just asked me how was I feeling and how can I help their defense. And I said, yes, sir, I surely can.
And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling wonderful. I'm happy as all outdoors.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Glenn Dorsey drafted by the. Can you tell who's up next? For the Jet fans who are ready, they booed Jake Long only because he was drafted by the Dolphins. So they came ready to yell and holler. It's the Jets now, the Patriots next. The volume will be up the next 20 minutes here in New York. We'll be back.
He took my last Cold Coors Light.
That's when you're going to have a psychological letdown.
Coach, what do you think of this new vented wide-mouth can?
I'm very pleased that anything that might come out of it would be a positive thing.
Hey, Coach, in one word, what makes the vented can special?
Flow, F-L-O-W.
The new vented wide-mouth can. It lets in air for a smooth, refreshing pour.
Coach, it says here that too much hairspray makes your follicles dry and brittle.
Well, that would be the big concern that I would have.
Yeah, well, it really should. Okay.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, a Motor City slugfest. Vlad Guerrero powers the AL West favorite Angels into Detroit to meet Miguel Cabrera and the potent Tigers. Sunday Night Baseball, Angels-Tigers, 8 Eastern on ESPN.
I really got sick and tired of every day when I met somebody. They would look at the top of my head, and then they'd look me in the face.
I think my hair looks better now than it did when I was in my 20s.
Hey, some people are beautiful bald, but it wasn't for me.
I feel great about myself now. I look the way I think I'm supposed to look.
It was like a dream come true for me because I wanted my own hair back.
The Bosley treatment's absolutely exceeded my expectations, no question about it.
This is all me, so I'm thrilled.
I finally enjoy getting a haircut.
Now that I see the results, I wish I would have done it 4 or 5 years sooner.
I'm really excited about having my hair back.
When it comes to going bald, you now have a choice. To find out more about this clinically proven permanent hair loss solution from Bosley, call to receive this free guidebook, medical report, and DVD.
This is the only permanent solution to hair loss.
Choose to do something about your hair loss.
Call 1-800-573-3660. That's 1-800-573-3660. Or go online to bosley.com today.
There's Keith Rivers, the fine linebacker from USC. Keith, he's at home waiting. Then, also at home, our cameras are looking at Brendan Alford, a young man that can play either guard, either tackle. Will he get tabbed by the Jets or the Patriots or the Ravens right behind that? And then Vernon Golston here in the green room, here in New York, with the Jets have 4 minutes left on the clock. The New York Jets in year 1 under Eric Mangini were a playoff team, surprising everyone. In year 2, they were 4-12. It was a surprise the other way. The Jets have opened up the coffers and have signed Calvin Pace, the big signing, Alan Faneca to play on the left side of that line. Damian Woody, big Chris Jenkins, you remember him with Carolina, not to mention Pro Bowl fullback Tony Richardson and Bubba Franks to help an offense that had more turnovers than touchdowns. The question is that Chad Pennington or the youngster Kellen Clemens will be the quarterback, but the question is now for the New York Jets, what do they do now? Look, they've spent a lot of money building up their line. They would have been interested in McFadden. Now, is there a back they should go with here, or should they just go pass rusher, which would be Golston?
Well, I think you finished the job on defense. You talk about how do you beat New England, you get after Tom Brady. They added Calvin Pace, the Jets did, in free agency. Now, if you put Vernon Golston in that 3-4 defense on the other side, all of a sudden you got yourself a heck of a tandem of pass rushers. Keep in mind, Vernon Golston began his college career at Ohio State as a linebacker, played on his feet this year at Ohio State, as well as a down defensive end spot. As a sophomore, bull rush with Jake Long, got a sack this year in the game. Everybody talks about the fact he's an underachiever, he's not productive. Yeah, game in and game out, yeah, the intensity wavers back and forth. But I think when you look at Chris Long, where everybody raves about his productivity, Vernon Golston had as many tackles for loss and more sacks the last 2 years than Chris Long did.
Well, remember, they've made some changes. They just the other day traded Dwayne Robertson off to Denver. Jonathan Vilma, their linebacker, is now a Saint. Victor Hobson, their linebacker, is now a member of the New England Patriots. But at the same point, so quick revamp of the Jets. Now, Kirk Herbstreit, you ought to know Golston a little bit. I think you guys are Buckeyes.
Yeah, a little bit, Bub. Here's a guy that I think took advantage of a big stage against Michigan. He had 5 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, and a sack against Jake Long. And I think that game put him in a position to say, I'm ready to come out and become an NFL player. Without that game, he's probably coming back to college next year. But he is a speed rush guy off the edge, Jaws. That's his strength, and that's what he'll bring to whoever he goes to.
That, Kirk, but what bothers me, he had a difficult time in space, shedding blocks, making plays. He wasn't a guy, when I look at the tape, that was consistently running at a very high motor. I think there's some question marks in this pick. No question he can rush the passer, but is he a complete football player? I'm not sure.
I think his football IQ is still growing. Here's a guy that didn't even come out for high school football until his sophomore year, so he's still learning the game and still realizing his potential to be an every down player.
The question, Mort, is, you know, there were times when did Golston have the motor like a Chris Long? There's some plays, where was he?
You know, actually, it's funny. You always hear that about a lot of defensive linemen.
Is that fair?
Well, I don't think it is, because you hear that about defensive linemen every year, and they come to this league, and then they're really good players. You know, this guy, when I talked to teams, said this guy didn't start playing football until he was a sophomore in high school. He's still learning how to play the game. Now, he's got a physique. He takes off his shirt. He looks like Tarzan. They would like him to play like Tarzan every play, but generally, they believe once he gets cranked up, gets the coaching, he can be a dynamic player in this league.
Let's be honest, though, of the guys that we've seen drafted so far, all huge leadership, hard work. Now, all of a sudden, the first time we talk about Vernon Golston, we say, take some plays off. Maybe he's a front runner off the edge. That's maybe the way that you talk about an edge rusher. But let's be honest, this is the first time we've talked about anybody in this draft that is not an absolute leader in the locker room.
You know what? If this is Vernon Golston, we've just set a record. We've had 6 guys in the green room, and there have been people sitting there for 4, 5, 6 hours waiting to go. It would be 45 minutes, and we've cleaned the place out. Let's see if Golston completes the job. 6 for 6 in the green room. Here's the commissioner.
Okay, Jet fans, with the 6th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Vernon Golston, defensive end, Ohio State.
And the Jets have just won the Super Bowl.
You know what, Chris? This is a great pick for them. The simple fact that they're picking right above New England. The New England Patriots coveted this linebacker as well.
Yes.
So you got your first cat and mouse game in the draft.
They knew it was coming. Jets followed by Patriots, and now Vernon Golston. Bill, how do you
The Jets, with the 6th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, go on to select Vernon Golston, defensive end out of Ohio State.
Something that got everybody's attention. 265 pounds. See a kid here, getting after the quarterback, which he had 14 sacks this year. 37 reps at the combine. Tremendous strength. Talk about a kid who has real good quickness. He can close very effectively around a 4.65 at 265 pounds. You see him here. He beat the offensive tackle out of the stance on numerous occasions the last couple of years for Ohio State. As I said, originally a linebacker. Now, when you talk about, hey, still learning the game instinctively, not necessarily what you want right now. Locating the ball, not his specialty, okay? Not nearly as productive as he should have been. 37 tackles, about half, 15 and a half are behind the line of scrimmage. So he can be finessed out of plays, not always as productive against the run as you would like. But in a 3-4 defense, where you pin your ears back and you get after that quarterback, I think that's where he will be able to maximize his ability coming into the NFL, Boom.
All right, listen. Quick look at the Jets schedule. Week 1 could be Vernon Golston against Jake Long as they play the Dolphins. Week 2, Vernon Golston trying to sack Tom Brady. They play the Patriots in Week 2. The Patriots are on the clock. And guess what? The Jet fans cheered. Now they're cheering the next pick of the 18-1 Patriots. We'll see what Coach Belichick and company have up their street.
All new prototypes leave everything behind.
We started this thing. It's us versus them. The game has changed. It all starts today. You are the new prototypes. We are Under Armour. The future is ours!
We have a code blue. Code what? Code blue? Code blue. Code blue.
Divide by the total sales, you'll see how we came up with the 10%.
Code blue? Code blue.
The cold activated bottle from Coors Light. The mountains on the label turn blue when your beer is as cold as the Rockies.
Code what?
Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. If you're not willing to fight for something, you can't change anything. Yeah, I can fly. A man with a dozen of these could rule the world. I'm not gonna let that happen.
You're going to kill yourself.
No shoot! No shoot!
You owe me a plane, you know that, right?
Technically, he hit me.
Iron Man, rated PG-13.
Welcome back to the 2008 NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light.
Welcome back to New York, where the Jets have made their selection of Vernon Golston, perhaps the player the Patriots were looking at. Patch knew that certainly was a possibility. And now the New England Patriots, 3 minutes away from football immortality and a 19-0 mark, lost in the Super Bowl. They were 18-1, and here they are yet picking 7th because they made a trade last year with the 49ers, who this is their slot. The pick that the Jets lost, the Patriots lost, because of being found guilty of taping defensive signals in Week 1 against the Jets, the coach being fined $500,000, the team being fined $250,000. The pick that they lost, that would be number 31. This is the Niners pick in a trade last year involving a Joe Staley pick. Asante Samuel was an Eagle. Eugene Wilson is gone. Randall Gay is gone. You see their Junior Seau, will he be back? Their secondary is new. And now, what do the Patriots do? Off of 18-1, Michael Smith put some news on New England. Michael.
Well, the Patriots have a couple of obvious needs, Boomer, and that's that inside linebacker and cornerback in light of the losses that you just mentioned. They would love to trade down from this spot, maybe address the linebacker situation later with a Keith Rivers or a Jerod Mayo. But if they cannot exact the trade and they have to stay here, I think they'll go corner. And a guy that I'm hearing that they really like is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie out of Tennessee State University, a guy that's been a riser this offseason, all kinds of athletic skills and great ball skills. I think they address corner here at 7, but they could move out.
Well, that would make sense. The Patriots are obviously entertaining all the calls, although the Ryan McFadden options are long gone.
And this is the type of spot right here with Cedric Ellis, the defensive tackle from USC, sitting here, where now the Saints are saying, hey, maybe we got to call the Patriots and get up there to get that guy, Cedric Ellis. And yes, Keith Rivers of USC, the linebacker's there. There is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, as Michael Smith just mentioned, and Leos McKelvin, the cornerback from Troy. But I think right now they're talking to teams about this particular spot.
Look, everybody remembers what happened in the Super Bowl. It was one game the team scored 589 points. The Patriots' goal overall in this draft is to get younger on defense. I'm not saying necessarily right here in the next 2.5 minutes. And by the way, you that have voted online say they should trade the pick. Of course, you got to have somebody else that makes a decent offer instead of just trading it. Easier said than done. Bill Belichick, Scott Pioli, they're so good at making moves. And there it is. There's a trade. They're so good at this. And it's the Saints. Well, who love their #1 corner, don't they?
The Saints, we've been talking about this all week. Cedric Ellis, defensive tackle from USC. The Saints' new defensive line coach is a guy named Ed Orgeron. He was at USC as their defensive line coach, head recruiter. He recruited Cedric Ellis to USC. They have been trying to trade up to get Dorsey, the LSU defensive tackle. He's gone. It's got to be Cedric Ellis. They really needed to shore up that front 7 and that defensive line interior.
Well, so that as soon as fans voted, trade, okay, we'll trade. It was that easy.
Well, it's good for the Patriots. What they can't do is they're the dominant team in the league right now. And a lot of times dominance gets hubris, and you end up, we don't have a lot of needs. They have needs, and they need to address them, so they'll get the extra picks. For New Orleans, though, they cannot, with that explosive offense, which I think they will be again next year, they have got to play some defense, to Mort's point.
But the Patriots can get corners at number 10. Corners.
Oh God, yes.
10, right? No.
They can get a corner. If Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is the guy they like, they obviously can get him at 10. I think you look at the New Orleans Saints. Remember several years ago, way back, they traded up for Jonathan Sullivan out of Georgia. They passed on Marcus Trufant, cornerback out of Washington State. Sullivan was a major bust. They've been looking at defensive tackles since that point, trying to solidify that position. Cornerback's been a problem as well for the Saints. They added some linebackers via the last couple of months in free agency and trades. I think you look at Cedric Ellis, only a shade below Glenn Dorsey. So here you're talking about pick number 7, getting a kid who's arguably the 2nd or 3rd best player in this draft.
They wouldn't look at McKelvin. Well, we'll see. I don't know. He does know, however.
The New England Patriots traded the 7th pick to the New Orleans Saints. With the 7th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Cedric Ellis, defensive tackle, USC.
Well, there you go, Keyshawn. You're on the board. Trojan. So the Saints. It'd be interesting to see if
the
they
Saints with
again
the
on
7th
offense,
pick in the
but they obviously
2008
have a
NFL
defense
Draft
that
going
they
to
have to
select
address.
Cedric Ellis,
And
defensive tackle out of USC.
Cedric Ellis, a force, Mel.
He is a force. You talk about a kid who's tough. You talk about a kid who's quick. Quickest hands win on the interior, and he learned that at an early age. This kid, you talk about 6'1", 308 pounds. That leverage advantage is immediate. Very difficult for centers and guards. You see strength. Talk about 34 reps at the combine. Kid who's quick out of the blocks as well. And I'll tell you what, I watched Glenn Dorsey, and I raved about Glenn Dorsey all year. For whatever reason, Cedric Ellis didn't get nearly the national publicity that Glenn Dorsey did, yet he was equally as effective. And I think you look at what he was able to do in terms of the football field, week in and week out, here getting it done, blocking a field goal on special teams. Tell you what, when you look at Cedric Ellis moving forward for the New Orleans Saints, a defensive tackle who should have an impact similar to Dorsey, and I think can be a Pro Bowl caliber player. Now we have to see what they gave up to acquire this pick, but I gotta, when you talk about getting rave reviews early on, the Saints have been aggressive. They talked about trying to get up there. They were able to pull it off.
Well, we just had a trade, and we don't even have the tails of that one yet with the Saints and the Patriots. That's just 3 spots 7 for 10. But Baltimore now, of course, in the Matt Ryan sweepstakes. Now, we've just heard that there's a trade involving Jacksonville, which comes all the way up from 26 to 8. And we'll get that detail in a moment. So Jacksonville is now on the clock. This will be costly. I mean, that's a big move.
No, it is a big move, but Jacksonville, remember, they need to continue to build their defense. Greg Williams is their defensive coordinator now. They need a speed, edge rusher, just a good, solid defensive end. And the guy, as these guys have come off the board, all of a sudden, Derek Harvey, the Florida defensive end, who, by the way, was one of the considerations for Bill Parcells as he was contemplating guys that he could use with the Miami Dolphins. Derek Harvey of Florida is a guy who really rose up a lot of boards, and this has to be, I think, what Jacksonville's targeting. I could be wrong, but I think this has to be what they're targeting.
Right. Well, I think for Jacksonville, they feel they're a pass rusher away. They think they can be a Super Bowl caliber team. The question now with Derek Harvey is, for a feared sack artist, only 4 sacks the first 8 weeks. They've come on late. And I think if you look at the best available, you see the offensive lineman, Ryan Clady of Boise State, a natural left tackle. Brandon Albert played left guard, but in 2 games at left tackle, and with the skills he showed during workouts, he will be a left tackle moving forward into the NFL. Mendenhall with a great year for Ron Zook and the Illini, capped off by his brilliant effort against USC. And of course, the offensive tackles, not just Clady and Albert. How about Ota from Pittsburgh? And also you look at the versatility of some of these guys. Chris Williams, a 245-pounder when he got there, now a brilliant left tackle. And Rogers Cromartie, Talib, the corners will start coming off the board soon. Philip Merling, sports hernia. Hey, that's not a concern to NFL teams. And Keith Rivers, not spectacular, just solid. And I've been all for the last 2-3 months talking about how can Jerod Mayo get into the late first round. He's got to go somewhere in the middle of the first. He played middle linebacker, played outside linebacker at Tennessee, 140 tackles in the SEC, great workouts and great character. For me, Jerod Mayo for the Lions, the Patriots. Jerod Mayo is a kid now accelerating way up into the middle of the first round.
And you look at what's happened in the Super Bowl. If you want to be something in the AFC, you're going to have to attack Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. If you're going to do that, you better have a pass rush. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, who truly believe, I think both of you said it, believe that they're a step away from the Super Bowl. If so, you've got to come with a pass rush. If you don't have it, you go to January, you're not going to score enough points to beat those teams. So if you're going to be that Super Bowl team, that's why you jump from 26, give away, I'm assuming, the farm to get the one guy that can give you that pass rush. You have to move to the quarterback.
Is he going to be a great pass rusher in the NFL? He was not necessarily throughout the entire season a great dominant performer at Florida. This is the NFL where those offensive tackles know every trick in the trade to keep you at bay. I thought he was the 23rd best player in the draft.
Well, let's go back a little bit. We've had like the Brickyard. Here's like the Indy 500. The Patriots are on the clock, but the Saints make a pick, and then the Ravens are on the clock, but the Jags are about to pick. So here we go. Patriots and the Saints trade. They swap ones, and the Patriots get a 3, and the Saints get a 5. So an extra 3 for New England, it costs them a 5, and of course they just to do that to move down for 3. So Brandon Albert is waiting, and he could go very soon. But Jacksonville making a move like this, I mean, all of a sudden, here's a team that we weren't. There's Keith Rivers, okay, and there he is, and a guy that can play all the positions at linebacker. And so the Jacksonville Jaguars, look, they're a team. That's Deshaun Jackson, the diminutive wideout from Cal, who can fly. And so we're all over waiting to see if these young men, we're 6 for 6 with the green one. We had to go somewhere else. But on the Jacksonville now, all of a sudden, they're our team of discussion. The but I went out the window. Last year they were authoritative. They won a playoff game on the road, high-scoring one, a wild one in Pittsburgh. And they played with New England for a while. So you're right, though. They can't be playing 30-point games in the playoffs.
And they've made some terrific moves in the offseason. Last year, they got rid of their quarterback and got a new quarterback. They went to the playoffs. So if you look at this is a copycat league, Chris, as we know, Steve. The New York Giants got after the quarterback Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Now the Jacksonville Jaguars, like you mentioned before, if you want to be a powerhouse in the AFC and overtake the Indianapolis Colts, you're going to have to get after Peyton Manning.
But what I don't understand is why it's taking so long for Jacksonville to get the card up. You make this trade, you've got your guy, don't you?
You know who you want.
So what are they doing?
Well, I think it's going to be Derek Harvey, because I think that you look at teams in the NFL, there's a lot of mixed opinions. Like I said, I have him 23rd. I did not see a game-in and game-out dominance from an outside pass rush standpoint. So I think as a defensive end for Jacksonville, a team that was, their staple has been the defensive line. Is it going to be the defensive line moving forward? They hope it can be.
Just a quick word while you're looking at their D-line. Remember, Marcus Stroud is no member of the Buffalo Bills. Is John Henderson still the force that he was? Oh, God, he was a great player. The defensive end's not the same, but just let's put it wide. Would the Ravens do something like this? Theoretically, as they stand right now, they think they'd be in position as far down as 26 to take the next best quarterback in this draft. That's the Ravens' plan on this. They should, barring somebody else making a trade, should get whoever they like. Sacco, is it Henny, is it Crom? That's where the Ravens...
You're right on the mark on that one.
Right?
I think with the Ravens moving up, moving down, I think the idea is to get a quarterback late in round 1.
Yeah, right there. Right there. They should get the next one.
I'm not right. This is a little early still. This is still a little early.
I know that, but that was their thought on making the trade.
There's ways to get back in the first round.
Even though Matt Ryan was the consensus #1 quarterback in this draft, the other 3 guys, Joe Flacco from Delaware, Chad Henne from Michigan, Brian Brown from Louisville, a lot of general managers believe those guys can come in and play and be really good starters in this league.
So now the Ravens have to sweat out. They sweated very quickly. Ryan's gone. Now they sweat from 8 to 26. That's some sweat. But that's the draft. Now it's the draft finally.
Well, I think,
right?
I think
this has been a rubber stamp so far.
Well, from the Ravens' perspective, you talk about where they are right now, what they have to do. I think the quarterback position, you say, okay, who do you target there? Is there another position player to look at? Joe Flacco is a kid I believe has solidified that #2 quarterback spot for him. And I think for the Ravens, they need a young quarterback bringing him to the fold.
You're right, though. What took so long? Well, we're going to find out. Yeah, but what's the pick?
Baltimore has traded their selection to the Jacksonville Jaguars. With the 8th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Derek Harvey, defensive end, Florida.
Well, Mel, you said it. This would be the
Jaguars,
reach,
the 8th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, going to select Derek Harvey, defensive end out of Florida.
And like I said, I saw this kid. I didn't think he had enough sacks. And Herbie, you watched him a lot as well. What's your opinion?
Well, all I can tell you is this guy is a power defensive end, Mel. You know from looking at a lot of tape on him. 6'4", 270 pounds. Great character. Talked to Urban Meyer about him last night. Outstanding effort. Known as a guy because he plays at Florida to have tremendous quickness, but probably more of a power guy, but a guy that can also play against the run, Mel, not just a guy that's going to come off the edge. I think he's a complete defensive end.
Well, you know what? I mean, we say a reach, but we don't. I mean, they're just on your board, Mel. Ohio State in that championship game would not call this pick a reach.
I wish you would see that every week, though. Right? And I think that's the thing. You saw it. You saw flashes of brilliance where you said, hey, this kid's got to be a top 5 pick. Other games, he was not nearly as effective. Now, Florida did lose a lot of starters to graduation. That allowed teams to focus on Derek Harvey. But the 4.8 40 time, that's a concern, but he is quick out of the blocks. His 10-yard time was very good. So I think with Derek Harvey, mixed opinion, because week in and week out in the SEC, he wasn't the pass rusher he was supposed to be.
You know what, though? It's the last game on the schedule. I'm just saying, Jacksonville versus Baltimore. Maybe Troy Smith is starting a quarterback for Baltimore, and here comes Harvey again. Well, Cincinnati's on the clock, and here's a moment ago.
Yes, sir.
Aha! The phone has rung. What could that mean? Could be.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
After months of speculation, years of preparation, the fate of a franchise hangs on a 4x6 card. Complete coverage on NFL Network. And for all your draft news and information, log on to nfl.com.
I really got sick and tired of every day when I met somebody. They would look at the top of my head, and then they'd look me in the face.
I think my hair looks better now than it did when I was in my 20s.
Hey, some people are beautiful bald, but it wasn't for me.
I feel great about myself now. I look the way I think I'm supposed to look.
It was like a dream come true for me because I wanted my own hair back.
The Bosley treatment's absolutely exceeded my expectations, no question about it.
This is all me. So I'm thrilled.
I finally enjoy getting a haircut.
Now that I see the results, I wish I would have done it 4 or 5 years sooner.
I'm really excited about having my hair back.
When it comes to going bald, you now have a choice. To find out more about this clinically proven permanent hair loss solution from Bosley, call to receive this free guidebook, medical report, and DVD.
This is the only permanent solution to hair loss.
Choose to do something about your hair loss.
Call 1-800-573-3660. That's 1-800-573-3660. Or go online to bosley.com today.
Okay, back in New York at Radio City, the draft continues. Cincinnati on the clock, number 9 overall. Ron Jaworski, Kirk Herbstreit down on the floor, Radio City Music Hall here with me. We sat and watched the Bengals in a Monday night game where they ran out of linebackers. So sitting here at pick 9, it might make sense to bolster the defense where Marvin Lewis made his name as an NFL coach.
Yeah, there's no question. And Mike Zimmer comes in as the new defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's clear to me he had an impact on the choice they were going to make. Because you get a Keith Rivers, a linebacker, that will be an impact linebacker. One of those versatile run-around guys. May not blow up the running back in the running game. But one of those guys will be very effective in the pass game. Mike Zimmer will use him wisely.
This is a franchise that has not won a postseason game in 17 years, the longest in the National Football League. It is a franchise you follow as a fan, Kirk, and it's a franchise that has been frustrating for their fans to watch for many years.
Yeah, it's become the abyss. This will probably be the last you hear of Keith Rivers if he ends up going to Cincinnati. What a great player. 4-year starter for USC. Tremendous speed, NFL speed. When you look at this USC defense, Mike and I were talking about this at the break, for a team that's known for their offense, you have 2 players already picked in the top 10, and next year you could probably have 3 more from USC that'll be up in the close to the top 10 or top 15. So USC, boom, showing and flexing their muscles. They're not just offense, they're coaching a lot of defense out there with Pete Carroll too.
All right, Herbie, thank you very much. Let's very quickly recap the trade or tell you about the trade. We said it would be expensive for Jacksonville to come all the way up in Baltimore's slot to take Harvey, and it was. They swapped ones, and it cost them 2 3s and a 4. But if Derek Harvey becomes a pass rusher extraordinaire, and they have the window right now, it's worth every move. Meanwhile, Baltimore, who is very thin in a lot of places, who need to replace or certainly, have a third player in a lot of positions very quickly, they just picked up a bunch of.
And the thing about the Baltimore Ravens, boom, they had a history of drafting well. They know how valuable 3rd and 4th round picks are, and the old day 2 when you talked about rounds 4 through 7. This team does a great job bringing young players in. There aren't the guarantee, the obvious guys coming into the NFL, and what they have to do now is get that quarterback. And I think you have 3 other quarterbacks outside of Matt Ryan. You have Joe Flacco, I think clearly is the second best quarterback, Brian Brom, Chad Henne.
Meanwhile, here's the Bengals.
With the 9th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Keith Rivers, linebacker, USC.
So here's a guy that is versatile for sure, can play right at the Sam, the Will, and the Mike, or the strong, the weak, in the middle.
I think what you like about Keith Rivers for Cincinnati is being character. I mean, this team needs guys that are coming in focused with work ethic during the offseason, you're going into training camp, and during the season to be solid, consistent, and reliable. Now, he is not, in my opinion, a spectacular off-the-charts player, not the dominant guy in some games that you expected considering his physical ability, but I'll tell you what, his production overall was good, and like I said, he brings it every week, and he turned out late in his career to be very durable, smart kid. Talk about football intelligence, you talk about a kid who, as I said, has character and brings that work ethic. I think for no team in this draft, Cincinnati Bengals, you talk about more at the top of the list for teams that need to try to get players now. They're not going to be issues off the field. And for Keith Rivers, that's never going to be a problem.
No, and when they drafted David Pollock from Georgia a couple of years ago, even though he was a projection from defensive end to linebacker, that was a good character.
The Bengals, the 9th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, going to select Keith Rivers, linebacker out of USC.
He's retiring because of the injury. Thurman coming back.
When I think about the Bengals over the years, if you just kind of take a big picture, you say most of the time early in the first round they pick specimens, guys that are bigger, the fastest, biggest arms, or the fastest guys. Here you say, well, Mel, maybe he's not as productive, but a solid character. You talk about character, you talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. That's going to be important as we go forward with Marvin Lewis, because he's got to reclaim this team after this Chad Johnson debacle.
When I say not productive, Steve, what I mean is not as many impact, game-changing plays, Key, but I think overall his production was solid. I didn't see just a Junior Seau wow-type play.
Well, you look at that number of 55 out of USC, there's 4 linebackers that were drafted in the first round wearing that number, and he's the 4th guy. But he doesn't jump out at you in terms of this all-American, great, terrific player. But I think he'll project well in Mike Zimmer's defense. He's a USC, has high character. He had a former NFL head coach, so he knows what he's getting into, and I think they're going to do a great job. He brings leadership to that locker room. And on defense, they need help from last year, the Cincinnati Bengals.
They need help in the locker room. This has been one of the most underachieving there. A couple of years ago, my goodness, here they come. Carson Palmer, the receivers, Chad Johnson, now at odds. I mean, let's go, Cincinnati. I mean, the kind of the motor is running, and you're running out of gas. We'll be back.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
Who could that be? Oh, wow. I'm there for you, buddy. That was Brad. He really wants to vent.
You should go.
Ready to vent? Let's vent. Let's vent.
Let's vent. Introducing the vented wide mouth can from Coors Light. It lets in air for a smooth, refreshing pour.
Is he okay?
I think we'll be venting a little longer.
Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
It all starts today. You are the new prototypes. We are Under Armour. The future is ours!
We are back in New York, and the NBA playoffs, of course, are back on ESPN. 2 games tonight. First at 8 Eastern, Kevin Garnett and the Celtics. They lead the Atlanta Hawks 2-0. They meet the Hawks now with Game 3 of the series. And at 10:30 Eastern, Tracy McGrady and the Rockets take on Carlos Boozer and the Jazz. Game 4 of that series. Jazz lead 2-1. Your NBA destination is ESPN. Well, money last year of the top 7 picks. And in addition to everything else the Patriots have done, they are fiscally responsible, for lack of a better term. So they move out at 7 to 10, and still, if indeed it's the corner that they want, will get the top corner that they desire. If that's what they want to do, as they're on the clock now, this is the top 7 salaries of last year, and so the Patriots aren't in that group this year. But here they are at number 10. They pick up a 3 and cost them a 5 to make the trade. Should they be concerned about the way they were rushed in the Super Bowl? Or was that one?
Of course, but those guys will get. I think that was more about when we were in warm-ups. I remember Ronnie Lott and I were down going on the Bill Walsh thing at the very beginning of the game, and he turned to me and said, "Look, these guys don't look ready to play." I think they looked at it as a coronation. I don't look at that offensive line.
With the 10th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Jerod Mayo, linebacker, Tennessee.
You know what? Let me tell you what this is. This is a player, and he's not alone. Rivers was one. Albert is one. Jerod Mayo can play anywhere, right? All 3 positions at linebacker, and the Patriots covet
The Patriots selected with the 10th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft Jerod Mayo, linebacker out of Tennessee, and he would actually become the head coach of the Patriots after Bill Belichick's and the Patriots parted way after 24 seasons with the Patriots. Bill Belichick was part. And after that, Jerod Mayo would become the next head coach of the New England Patriots. He would last a year there, but he did become the head coach of the Patriots for a year and did play for the Patriots during a time when the dynasty was starting back up again.
And ironically, they go back-to-back picks. So I think for Bill Belichick, linebacker, secondary, that back seven, very suspect going into this year. And Jerod Mayo is going to provide an immediate boost. You talk about workout, this kid ran a 4.54 at 242 pounds. Great athletic ability, productive, smart. What else do you want?
Get younger on defense. I mean, they have to do it. We don't know if Junior Seau is going to be a Pat next year. We know that their defensive backs, I won't go through it all right now. We'll have the chance. There's a major turnover, the biggest name being Asante Samuel now on Philadelphia. They're pretty stout up front still. But Wilfork and Warren and, of course, Big
That's
Richard.
not the concern. That really is not the concern.
Well, I think at
back seven.
I think the back seven, if you can get strong at the linebacker position, you can find some corners. Bill Belichick has proven that over and over again. Get solid at the linebacker position, get solid at the defensive front. You can find some corners and some safeties to fill in the gaps. They know what they're doing when they draft.
Well, what was Bill Belichick? He was a linebacker coach for a good stretch. And Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel, even though he had a Pro Bowl year, Junior said, yes, they are getting up there in age. This had to be addressed. Just like Mel said, this guy was really, really productive. I know a lot of teams have liked him better than Keith.
You know what, though? Go ahead. It was a long season last year. He had the whip to those kids all year long. Yes. And that defense wilted towards the end. We saw it in Baltimore on Monday night. They were demoralized when they were running that football in the fourth quarter. That defense better get younger quickly because the rest of the league is not going to allow what happened last year. And every game is going to be a Super Bowl. You think it's a Super Bowl last year for the New England Patriots. This year, they better get young and aggressive because that defense did wilt towards the end of the season.
They and you know what opponents of the Patriots will get flagged 15 yards for next year? Holding the Mayo. They had to. So now we're in, we had one. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock as they try to circle the wagons in their division. By the way, the Patriots, on paper, and I hate to do that, the percentage of their opponents for the coming year is, quote, the easiest of any of them, .387. I mean, it's April, I'm just saying it as a stat. The Buffalo Bills, boy, did they hit last year. Two rookies, injury to Lossman. Trent Edwards took over at quarterback. He was very good. Not great, but very good. Young man from Stanford, Marshawn Lynch, was outstanding as a running back from Cal. They need to get big. The Bills in that game against the Giants just looked smaller. Marcus Stroud and former Giant Kavika Mitchell would be big. The Buffalo Bills are a team that had more people on IR last year. They had more folks. Somehow they got 7 or 9 for Dick Duran last year. They played with a lot of heart. They had that wonderful game against the Cowboys, which they ended up losing. But now they got what? A QB? And they have a running back? Now what?
In the last 12 months, that's what your point is. And they really do. I think Trent Edwards is a long-term answer for them at quarterback. I also think that you saw Marshawn Lynch. You think about how the Cowboys were formed and a lot of these Super Bowl teams, they think in terms of triplets. You know, we need the big three. We need the quarterback, the running back, and the receiver. Is this the point where you reach a little bit, and you guys would know better, is this the point where you go for that big receiver?
Well, you're talking about big receiver because Lee Evans is a very good receiver. Yes. I think there's been a lot of debate within the organization whether it was going to be, they loved Keith Rivers. I know that Dick Duran, the coach, loved Keith Rivers. Still got a lot of questions there. So I think the receiver was the second or third on the list for this pick. We'll see. Boomer, I'm sure you got a cab driver somewhere.
My cab driver's stuck at Niagara Falls right now, but, you know, for a young quarterback, a tight end would be, they could use one of them. I know it's a little high.
What about a corner, Boom? They got
Yes, they could definitely.
You got Terrence McGee. You got corners on the board right now, whether it's Leotis McKelvin, Aqib Talib, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Mike Jenkins. The 4 elite corners are on the board. And Devin Thomas, the wide receiver out of Michigan State. For Buffalo, if you want Thomas, you'd prefer to trade down a bit off of 11, but cornerback and a big receiver are their top two needs.
I think McKelvin makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Cromartie.
With the 11th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Leotis McKelvin, quarterback, Troy.
Remember, just a year ago, they lost Nate Clements in free agency to San Francisco. They're in a division in which the Patriots scored almost 600 points. So, hello, here's a corner.
They need a corner big time, Boom. Terrence McGee on one side, now you get Leotis McKelvin. You talk about anticipation and awareness in man coverage. He has that. Kid had a brilliant year. I mean, he really picked it up from terms of being a cornerback. He had been a great punt kickoff returner, dynamic on special teams. This year, he became an elite cornerback. The issue I have with Leotis McKelvin, it's been discussed, even though he's a return man, the hands, the ability to come away with interceptions when the opportunity presents itself is questionable. Ball skills are an issue with Leotis McKelvin. 3 interceptions over the last 2 years and just 16.
The Bills, with the 11th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, would go on to select Leotis McKelvin, defensive back and cornerback out of Troy.
If he had better ball skills, he might be a top 5 or 6 pick in the first round.
That's a pretty good pick for them being in AFC East. He is a pretty decent-sized cornerback to go up against the Randy Moss or the Lavernius Coles of the New York Jets. And now that Miami Dolphins are starting to retool, you know they're going to go after some big wide receivers. So it's a pretty good pick for the Buffalo Bills.
But as Mel, I got to bring this up here. Aqib Talib from Kansas is very highly rated. A lot of teams have taken him off their draft boards because of the character issue.
Right, I would say this. Rogers Cromartie, 1AA, not real tough in run support. You look at a kid like Aqib Talib, as you said, off the field concerns. You look at a situation here with McKelvin, lacks great ball skills. Mike Jenkins, great against Auburn, a little inconsistent in other games. So all 4 of the top cornerbacks, there's some concerns that maybe push them down just a bit into the middle of the first round.
I mean, I know we're on now to Denver. McKelvin playing for Troy. I mean, they had a schedule tougher than half the NFL teams, right? They put Auburn, Alabama. Didn't they win a lot?
How about Troy? O.C. Yamanura, okay? DeMarcus Ware, Leotis McKelvin, not bad.
All right, so the Bills go for the first defensive back. The Denver Broncos on the clock. We'll be back.
DirecTV is doing very well in customer satisfaction. What do we do? I learned this in business school when I read about business school in a book. We can't improve our service, but we can improve the price. We can make it higher.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. We'll get the people with disposable income, and they can dispose of it to us. And they don't watch TV. They're workaholics.
They wouldn't know HD if they'd sat in their lap and called them mama.
Get more TV for your money. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
The road to the finals continues tonight with a doubleheader on ESPN. First at 8 Eastern, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen lead the dominating Celtics into Atlanta, looking to take a 3-0 lead over the Hawks.
That'll wake the crowd up.
Then at 10:30, Tracy McGrady and the Rockets can level their series with the Jazz in a pivotal Game 4. The NBA playoffs, Celtics Hawks and Rockets Jazz, tonight on ESPN.
The Lenovo ThinkPad has a magnesium alloy roll gauge, making it one of the very strongest notebooks out there. We just wanted to remind you, we have brains, too. Protect your ideas. Lenovo ThinkPad, powered by Intel Centrino with vPro, ultra durability and performance.
SignCompaniesOnline.com. Just enter in a city or zip code and instantly connect with local sign companies who specialize in banners, vehicle graphics, and many other types of signs. For a new image or just updating your look, it's all on SignCompaniesOnline.com.
To help avoid dental problems, I give patients Act Restoring Mouthwash, the 3-Act mouthwash.
Act 1 kills germs for fresh breath. Act 2 restores minerals. Act 3 strengthens enamel.
It's why we recommend it.
Act Restoring Mouthwash, the one dentists believe in.
Back in all of a sudden, last year was the longest first round ever. This is going to be the shortest. Back here with 10 minutes a pick, and we are flying. We are, my goodness, close to or past a third of the way through the first round. We have the Denver Broncos have made a selection. We'll find out in a moment, followed by Carolina. The Broncos. Well, we'll discuss the Broncos in a moment. This is a franchise. It's in an interesting spot.
With the 12th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Ryan Clady, tackle, Boise State.
First Bronco from Boise State to go in the first round, so a Bronco becomes a Bronco. We had 7 straight defensive players up until now. So Jay Cutler will be happy for this pick.
He will be very happy. I think when you look at a left tackle from Boise State, a lot of experience in pass protection. The problem is he wasn't challenged that much by quality defensive ends. So that'll be an issue coming into the NFL. But 6'6", 310 pounds, super athletic, tremendously long arms, very good technique. And I think this is the kid you talk about getting stronger in the weight room, getting a more physical demeanor in terms of run blocking. Got to get a little tougher. Got to get in that weight room, as I said. 24 reps and get that up. That was respectable, certainly, but play with more of a mean streak. I think pass blocking initially, how he adjusts to those great defensive ends.
The Broncos with the 12th
right
pick in the 2008 NFL Draft were going to select Ryan Clayton, offensive tackle out of Boise State.
Because I want to see him against the quality elite guys, which he didn't go up against at Boise State.
Keyshawn, Steve, Jay Cutler in the offense. Does he have what it takes?
I think he will. You know, he's learning under Mike Shanahan right now, and Mike Shanahan has a history of plugging guys in, saying, I need one player. I'm glad to see that they got away from that, a skill position player. They didn't get a running back. They didn't get a wide receiver, and he has a history of doing that. But I think Jay Cutler will settle in now in his second, third year in the National Football League and start to move the Denver Broncos into the right direction.
Well, there's no question that Jay Cutler has the physical skills. And we've seen those throws early on. He can also move around and run a lot of Mike Shanahan's bootleg. He opens up the playbook and lets Mike call all the plays in the book. But what you wonder as a young player, is he going to grow into that element what John Elway had in Denver, which he'll always be compared to, or other great quarterbacks. It's that it factor that Kirk Herbstreit talks about. It's that over my dead body, this is going to get done. No other way is this going to happen other than I get it done. And I think that's what I'm looking for from Jay sometime in the future, this year especially. This is my team. I'm going to get this done, and I want that personality to come out.
Just think about real quick, though, when Mike Shanahan won his 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, he had big-time tackles. Gary Zimmerman is going into the Hall of Fame this summer, and he also had Tony Jones. Having a tackle in those Super Bowl years certainly was something he was thinking about here.
All right, so Denver, this is the earliest they have picked since the 90s, and Mike Shanahan doesn't plan on picking this early again. Now we have Carolina on the clock. You know, not long ago they played in one of the most exciting Super Bowls we can ever remember. 3 years ago, the NFC Championship game. But last year, starting with the injury to Delone, they dusted off Vinny Testaverde. It was a disaster. Pass offense. What happens in the most fearsome foursome in football? Rucker retired. Julius Peppers, 2.5 sacks. Jenkins, a Jet. Muhsin Muhammad comes back.
That was going to be a bad pick.
Sean Foster is now a 9. So Carolina, another team, and maybe here starts our run on offensive tackles. I mean, that could be something that could happen now. Meanwhile, let's go to Sal Palantonio in Baltimore. Sal.
Well, Boom, the Carolina Panthers were also thought to be in the market for a quarterback. And when you look at the board right now and what quarterbacks are available and who has them slotted where, first you got to go to Joe Flacco of the University of Delaware. And that's where the Baltimore Ravens really have their top quarterback rated. Flacco 1, and then 1A is Chad Henne out of Michigan. And that's why the Baltimore Ravens moved all the way back to 26. When I talked to head coach John Harbaugh a little bit while ago, he said, now the challenge for us is to get a quarterback at 26, but they may have to sweat it out because there are a lot of teams that are interested in that spot in perhaps moving up to 26, Miami or the Jets, or other teams like the Seattle Seahawks may be interested in a quarterback. So Baltimore may be sweating it out, Boom.
Well, we'll see what happens there. Baltimore's going to have to sweat it. But back to here now, we have Denver picking Clady, Boise State tackle. We've had a run on pass rushers, defensive players. Carolina, Chicago, Detroit. This could be linemen, and a lot of them in a hurry. We'll see. Well, here's Carolina.
With the 13th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Jonathan Stewart, running back, Oregon.
So much
the Panthers with the 13th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft would go on to select Jonathan Stewart, running back out of Oregon.
5-yard average per carry with 717 yards. Now they get somebody to help out D'Angelo Williams. Now power running back, a 5'10 and a quarter, 235-pound powerhouse. You talk about a kid that did 28 reps at the combine. You see him here with 4.48 speed. He can go the distance. This is a kid loves contact. He takes on defenders. He does not save his body. He has had some injury issues throughout his career at Oregon. We thought this year he'd stay healthy. Then the toe injury, then the surgery. Well, would he get out of the first round? No. He will be ready for training camp, Mort. But here's a kid who can complement D'Angelo Williams and maybe give this Carolina offense some juice. They don't have any right now. It's all Steve Smith, maybe D'Angelo Williams, and basically nobody else.
Yeah, when he had the toe surgery, all of a sudden people said, uh-oh, he might drop to the second round. But when you got the medical reports back, they said he's going to be fine. And I do know some teams that actually like Stewart ahead of Darren McFadden as a running back, as a full-time type guy. And if they weren't going to get a quarterback, John Fox, head coach, is going to run the football. This guy has a chance to take the pressure off whoever their quarterback is.
He was flying up the boards, as you point out, in the last couple of weeks. So Jonathan Stewart, second running back. Bears, Lions, Cardinals. We're halfway through round one. Stay with us.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
Hey, guests first. Matt, honey, what would you like?
Anything's fine, Mrs. Barber. Dude, just tell her what you want.
You want a drumstick? Help yourself.
Go ahead. The whole bucket's drumsticks.
Dodge, have one of both.
You don't have to be so polite.
Thanks, Nancy.
It's Mrs. Barber.
There's plenty of the good stuff to go around. Get 10 moist and juicy drumsticks and thighs for only $7.99. Life tastes better with KFC.
It all starts today. You are the new prototypes. We are Under Armour. Is
this Monday night, two high-powered offenses in a battle of the undefeated. The showdown down in Philly. Watch Russell Athletic ESPN Arena Football Monday at 8 as the Desperados battle the soul on ESPN 2.
Mike Tyson, from knockouts to addiction.
It's a struggle. I want to take drugs every day.
Plus,
Vegas, baby.
The sports guy hits Sin City. An all-new E60, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN.
Back here at the NFL Draft in New York, and on your right, a view of what's going on your local ABC station. It's the Aaron's 312, the nationwide series racing at Talladega. And at last look, it was Dale Jr. in the lead in his Chevrolet. 61 laps through that event. So that is live over on your local ABC station. Keep an eye on that as we continue with the draft here on ESPN until 8 Eastern. Then we move to ESPN 2 for our NBA playoff doubleheader. Mike Tirico, Ron Jaworski, Kirk Herbstreit down here. And the guys were just talking about perhaps a run of offensive tackles after the Ryan Clady selection. You also have a run of running backs perhaps happening here. Give me one thought on the Jonathan Stewart selection just a moment ago by the Carolina Panthers.
Well, the Carolina Panthers love to run the football downhill. So we always talk about the fit here draft day, and it's a good fit for the Carolina Panthers. However, I do have some concerns with Jonathan Stewart. In the National Football League, you can not only be a great runner, you've got to be an outstanding blocker and an outstanding receiver. I believe these are two areas where Stewart's going to have to improve. But he does bring a tremendous running element to the Panthers offense.
Hey, Charles, I think he has the ability athletically to improve in that area. Think about the offense that he came out of and what he was running with Dennis Dixon. Without a doubt, this running back, in my mind, fits in the NFL. He's a banger with his size at 235 pounds, and he can run away from Pac-10 defenses, which I think will, again, transition into the NFL.
Now in our Hummer best available, let's look ahead, guys. There's Chicago, not really in need of running back, but Detroit behind them after that. Rashard Mendenhall from Illinois is available.
Mendenhall, 5'10", 225 pounds, physical, hard, gets north and south, and really improved, maybe the most improved running back this year.
A little loose with the football, though. I thought a little bit loose.
Felix Jones from Arkansas, guys.
Explosive. This is what you want. When you talk about Darren McFadden and Felix Jones, you talk about a 1-2 punch. Wow.
And you talk about those two guys being among the best available remaining backs, as we'll take a picture, and we've seen exclusively so many looks at the players who are waiting. And in Chicago, Illinois, Rashard Mendenhall is waiting. The Bears are on the clock, but as we know, the Bears running back situation has been in flux over the last couple of years, especially with the decision they made last year. The man they've asked, the high draft pick, to carry the ball was not effective last year.
Yeah, and Cedric Benson did not get the job done. And if I'm the Bears, I'm taking a good, hard look at Rashard Mendenhall. He's a tough guy. He'll get you to tough yards, and he's got the quick feet. When I've looked at him on tape, when he is in space with the football, he can make people miss. When you got a guy 230 pounds that can make people miss, that's a good thing.
You see Benson, the other, unrelated to the Minnesota Viking Offensive Rookie of the Year, Adrian Peterson, was the secondary back, and Garrett Wolf, who was a rookie out of Northern Illinois. Kirk, we should point out when we talk about Rashard Mendenhall, and you and Brent Musburger did the Rose Bowl game on ABC. Ron Zook's building a very nice program in Illinois, and with all due respect to that Illinois program, the one guy playing for Illinois who looked like he could have gone to the other side and been a USC Trojan was Rashard Mendenhall in that game.
Yes, good point. It also should be mentioned that the thing about Mendenhall is I think he has most of his football ahead of him. You compare the number of carries that he has in college compared to all these other backs, his carries are down significantly, which I think is very, very good for his future in the NFL as far as holding up and being able to have a productive career.
So perhaps not Chicago if they don't address, but certainly Detroit, Chris, is a team that's looking at that position in offensive tackle as they follow their NFC North brethren on the clock.
All right, Mike, fellas, thank you very much. Now in the Norris division, the Chicago Bears. You talk about a fall from the Super Bowl. I know 7-9, and only the Seahawks in the last half dozen years have lost the Super Bowl and got back to the playoffs. But the Bears went from a dominating defense and plus whatever it was in turnovers to not a lot. And one of the worst-ranked defense and questions on offense.
And a team that looks like they have a lot of needs, especially in the offense. They need offensive linemen. There's a question at running back with Cedric Benson. There's a question at wide receiver. And guess what? There is still a question at quarterback. And I know they have Rex Grossman. I know they have Kyle Orton. But they've got to get a quarterback today. They've got to get a quarterback today.
I think you look at the second round for that quarterback, be it a Brian Brom. I don't think Chad Henne and Joe Flacco will be there, but maybe Brian Brom will be. But you're right. It's not going to be a defensive pick. This will be definitely an offensive pick. But left tackle, John Tate's 33 years of age. He belongs at right tackle. If your quarterback's going to have any chance, you got to get the left tackle because John Tate has to move over to the right side. You need a running back to work in unison with Benson. You need a wide receiver. Devin Thomas will look good because you only have one pick. So you better make it count. The left tackle is
Let's look at the glass as half full, okay? We're going to say that this defense still has the elements to dominate if they can get it back together and stay healthy. Not only offensively to that point, Rex Grossman, we're going to say, is a late bloomer. I mean, a really late bloomer. And we still believe that he can actually get something done. You've got to protect him because if you don't, you have him no chance to come back and play some decent football.
With the 14th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Chris Williams, offensive tackle, Vanderbilt.
Well, here come the tackles.
Exactly. We said there were 5 left
The
tackles.
Bears with the 14th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft would go on to select Chris Williams, offensive tackle out of Vanderbilt.
But Chris Williams, 245 pounds when he came to Vanderbilt, finishes out his career at 6'6", 318 pounds. And you look at his feet, his athleticism. He is a natural pass-blocking left tackle. You see him here getting the job done for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's had a pretty good track record when kids come out of that program. They're smart kids. They transition pretty well into the NFL. What he needs to do is get in the weight room, get a little stronger. 21 reps at the combine. He needs to pick it up from an aggressiveness standpoint as a run blocker. And he needs to develop that nasty streak. I didn't see that at Vanderbilt. But a guy in pass protection as a left tackle can get the job done.
Mort, let me change gears here a little bit here on the Bears. Brian Urlacher, the face of the franchise, the defensive player, he's hurting a little bit, but he's hurting inside. What's going on there? They did re-sign Briggs after a lot of acrimony. Where is that stand?
Well, Brian Urlacher wants a new contract. I mean, and he is still one of the, I think, top 10 players in this league. The Bears have said, no, we're not ready to do a new contract. Yes, he had some back surgery. He says that's not a problem. He's not demanding a trade. He wants to play in Chicago, but he is not happy with that Bears contract situation. And if you're ever going to take care of somebody, you would think Brian Urlacher is the guy you take care of.
Something that bears watching. The Detroit Lions are now on the clock, followed by Arizona. And so the Lions, you talk about a team that's changing over, although the head coach is the same, Rod Marinelli. Mike Martz out as offensive coordinator. They started 6-2, but they ended 1-7. So the Detroit Lions are a team that will change their view completely on offense. Does that mean they pound the football? That's something to think about here. Or do they need a middle linebacker? Matt Millen was one who was the GM. We'll ponder the Lions in a moment. Here's Sal in Baltimore.
Well, Boomer, you still have two premier offensive linemen on the board. You've got Jeff Otah out of Pittsburgh, as Mel mentioned. You also have Brandon Albert, a guard/tackle out of the University of Virginia. And I've been around the Philadelphia Eagles a lot in the last couple of months, and they are very concerned about the age of their two tackles. Trey Thomas, 33, John Runyon, 34 years old. Andy Reid talked about being concerned about just how much longer they can go. The Eagles have always had an interest in Brandon Albert, but they may have to jump ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs in order to draft him. So let's keep an eye on that, Boomer. Andy Reid jumping ahead of the Chiefs.
That's a good call, because Albert, a lot of people didn't think he'd be even at this part of the draft. So there was one name that has fallen a little bit, Mel.
Well, I think the inexperience at left tackle, but I'll tell you what, everybody I thought to say, Brandon Albert, forget about guard, he will be a left tackle. And if you go back and look at the Pitt game and the Middle Tennessee State game, Eugene Monroe will be a high pick next year. Their left tackle was injured. Brandon Albert didn't find out till Thursday he was going to be starting. Played pretty well against Pitt, didn't allow a sack, was outstanding the next week when he had some time to get ready for Middle Tennessee State. But still, the inexperience of left tackle may be an issue because he was a left guard. You're going to draft a left guard in the top 10 to 15. But I think he will be drafted as a left tackle, and you got to like his skills. Everybody was excited after workouts about the skill level he brings to that left tackle spot.
And the reason we're bringing this up now with Detroit on the clock is that we're talking about maybe this is the trade spot for the Philadelphia Eagles. When you look at the Lions, hey, they need offensive linemen. They need a running back. Rashard Mendenhall of Illinois and Felix Jones of Arkansas are still there. So if they trade back, it's because they still have a lot of needs, this Lions team.
Well, let's talk Detroit for just for a second, if you don't mind, Boomer.
Go ahead.
Can I run the show?
Yes. They're on the clock.
This is the Detroit Lions. The firming defense, they have the best quarterback in the division.
Count them.
In John Kitna. Think about it. They have him, and they need to score some. If they can score 21 points a game next year, John Kitna's guarantee of making the playoffs and being a 10-game winner might become more true this year than last year if they can get that running back. I think a running back here makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's it. You say, well, wait a minute, but let's have the fans at home catch up. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay. Tavares Jackson, Minnesota. Right?
Yeah.
And we're
and Rex Grossman.
Rex Grossman or Kyle Orton.
You got John Kitna.
So John Kitna, there you go.
And they have to get a running back here because
quite an observation.
It makes the most sense. They shored up their secondary in the offseason by bringing in some guys in the offseason, signing Brian Kelly, trading for the young man from Cleveland. So I think the running back makes the best pick for them right here.
Well, Mike Tirico, you see the Michigan papers daily. What's the spin out there?
Well, kind of what the guys are talking about with running backs. 236 carries, the fewest of any team in the NFL last year. 208 by the running back position. 218 of them are gone. Kevin Jones was released. TJ Duckett has gone to Seattle. So they do need a running back there as of right now. Tatum Bell, currently number one on their depth chart. And the tackle story is the one as well. There you see the Lions draft room in Allen Park as they are in there and making the decision. Matt Millen and Rod Marinelli. Rod putting much more of his stamp on day 2 of this draft, the head coach, and day 1. Guys, they are last in the league defensively in yards and points. Rod Marinelli made his money and made his name in this league as a defensive guy. I think they were really interested in Mayo, and when he came off the board, the Tennessee linebacker number 10 to New England, that factored into what they were going to do. That's why they've traded this pick, and Kansas City is now the team on the clock, as Sal was talking about, because the Lions will have that running back offensive tackle option perhaps farther down. So Kansas City hops in here, and remember, with a team like Detroit, they have a lot of needs, and they've also been talk of Roy Williams potentially being traded. It would have to be a home run of an offer a great offer for the Lions to move the wide receiver who has 1 year left on his deal. So that updates us on the Lions. And Chris, with Kansas City on the clock, go back to you.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. So the Chiefs now are there.
Well, they heard you guys talking about Philadelphia trading up to 15 to get an offensive lineman, and they said, we better get on the phone, because Kansas City...
Well, God, they got ammo. They got more picks.
No question they were targeting an offensive line. Kansas City's got, remember, started this day with 13 picks, so they have a lot of maneuverability, certainly, to make this move. They had to address defense with that first pick. They got Glenn Dorsey. They have to get an offensive lineman. They need 3 offensive linemen in this draft.
Yes.
You know, and they give them flexibility, but one thing's for sure, if you have a needed offensive lineman and you have all those picks, you better get your needs filled and not miss out, and that's probably why they jumped ahead.
So the Chiefs on the clock. Now they will go into the season with, they got Larry Johnson still there, they got Tony Gonzalez still there, but and they drafted Bo in the first round last year, an outstanding wide receiver, but the rest of the offense, in many ways, revamped. Brody Croyle will probably start the year as quarterback, and we'll see what this trade is, and I think once Sal jumped on the name Albert, I think there it is. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to be busy these 2 days with these picks. Here we go.
The Detroit Lions have traded their choice with the 15th pick in 2008 NFL Draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select Brandon Albert, guard, Virginia.
A smart pick. So there he is. Exhale. He's a Chief. He's been picked. Congratulations, Brandon. He's so 2 Virginia players in the top half of the first round, by the way.
And it was expected. They didn't go a little
This
higher
was
than
the
that.
second player to come out of Virginia in this
In the
draft.
top 10,
And the Chiefs with the 15th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft would go on to select Brandon Albert, offensive guard out of Virginia.
Number 71, you see him here playing the left guard spot. Talk about getting to the second level. Athleticism for somebody 6'5" and change, 311 pounds. He was spectacular in that regard. Now, nobody was as mobile from a left guard position, getting downfield to that second level and sustaining blocks as Brandon Albert was. As I said, moving the left tackle for those 2 games, I thought really helped him go from maybe the 23rd pick to Pittsburgh up into, I thought, the top 10 of this draft. He ends up going 15 to the Kansas City Chiefs. So Brandon Albert as a left tackle will be a work in progress. Limited experience at that position, but athletically, he's got what it takes for it.
And you mentioned Brody Croyle, the young quarterback, and people said, well, will they take Matt Ryan if he were there? Listen, they can't even evaluate Brody Croyle until they get players around him. An offensive line to block, maybe another receiver, get things up. You can't evaluate a quarterback when the supporting cast is so weak.
Well, they're starting to put some pieces in place there, picking up the linemen. They got a young quarterback, a running back that we believe will come back healthy, and a young wide receiver in Dwayne Bowe. So they're starting to retool, and they got a lot of picks to find some other players on defense, Chris.
You like the highlight there, didn't you?
He caught a pass, a swing pass. That made me chuckle.
He's versatile. He's versatile. So the Chiefs move up. We'll get you details on that trade. It's Arizona and then Detroit. Only fell back 2 spots. No pick next. Arizona number 16 up next.
The road to the finals continues tonight with a doubleheader on ESPN. First at 8 Eastern, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen lead the dominating Celtics into Atlanta, looking to take a 3-0 lead over the Hawks.
That'll wake the crowd up.
Then at 10:30, Tracy McGrady and the Rockets can level their series with the Jazz in a pivotal Game 4. The NBA playoffs, Celtics Hawks and Rockets Jazz, tonight on ESPN.
Coach, Coors Light is the world's most refreshing beer. Am I right?
Any doubters there?
No.
Okay, we're on the same page at least on one thing.
Coach, Coors Light in bottles, cans, or kegs, do they all deliver tremendous refreshment?
They all do.
Coach, I like Coors Light poured from a tap. What's that called again?
Who knows what that's called? That's the draft, okay?
Frost Brewed Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Coach, a beer that tastes as cold as the Rockies. Your thoughts?
There's a mountain that can be climbed.
See you at the top, buddy.
All new prototypes leave everything behind. We started this thing. versus them. The game has changed. It all starts today. You are the new prototypes. We are Under Armour. The future is ours!
Short hair. Dollar's down again. Oh, it's brutal.
No, it's feeble.
It's dropping like a lead balloon. Tanking. It's anemic.
It's just in free fall.
It's pathetic. Hey, big O, what do you got there, fella?
Double cheeseburger from the dollar menu.
Did I say weak? Dollar's looking strong. Dollar's looking good.
Very good.
Hey, Owen, how you fixed on fries, buddy?
I'm good on fries. Thanks, Dave.
That's cold, man. Just thought I'd ask.
The McDonald's Beefy Cheesy Double Cheeseburger. Just one of the extravagant choices on the dollar menu.
This is the 2008 NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light.
Just for those of you scoring at home, welcome back to New York here at the NFL Draft. For swapping ones, the Lions get the better of the Chiefs in the third round. They swap threes, and they pick up a fifth-round pick as well, just for dropping back 2 spots. So Detroit improving themselves a little bit and allowing the Kansas City Chiefs to get Brendan Albert. And now, for the latest this century, are the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, it's always within the first hour that we say, and the Cardinals are on the clock. But they're not anymore. They were 8-8 last year in the first year of Ken Whisenhunt. Best finish since '98 when Jake Plummer led them to the playoffs. Matt Leinart, injured last year, is named the starting quarterback with Kurt Warner still there. A lot of questions, but Larry Fitzgerald was re-signed. Anquan Bolden unhappy, but boy, we know they have some skilled players. They do have an aging Edgerrin James who still runs hard, but Matt Leinart, time for him to step up, Key, and is he ready to do it?
Well, I think the Arizona Cardinals as a whole, they're starting to turn the corner as a football team, going 8-8, but Matt Leinart is the one setback right now. They're a little disappointed with him in the offseason, getting into a little bit of, not necessarily trouble, but finding himself in the news. And I think they want a more complete quarterback at studying, doing things that they feel that they can lead this franchise, but they're not shy at all with going with Kurt Warner later on in the year if they have to.
Well, I talked to Kurt earlier in the offseason, and he said, geez, I'm not sure I'm going to go back and play because I'm not going to back up. I don't want to do that. I want to play football. If I'm not going to play, then maybe I'll just retire. Well, obviously, he's coming back because I think the Cardinals have told him, hey, it's wide open. You come play. And when you tell me you have a first-round draft choice with Matt Leinart, and 2 years later, Kurt Warner's still looking to play, I think that says a lot about what they feel about Matt Leinart. Think about all the players that have rolled through here over the years, Mark. You know what? It seems like there's hopefully some stabilization happening in Arizona.
I know. But another concern for Arizona is an offensive aging player, Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James was a productive back. He's over 1,000 yards. But when he gets to the second level, that's it. They are looking for an explosive running back, a Felix Jones type from Arkansas. And I know Rashard Mendenhall, Illinois, is on there as well. They need a cornerback, but they need an explosive player to take some heat off Matt Leinart and Kurt Warner.
They have so much talent. It really is criminal that they're not winning more football games with all that talent.
The new coach last year, 8-8. I mean, you can't really argue with that.
They have a tremendous amount of talent. They better start scoring some points. And to Mort's point, if you're going to have all those receivers and a quarterback that's at least either one of them plays as competent, you get a running back in there, might be something.
But I think if they draft a corner in this position, go after a guy like Dominic Cromartie, that'll solidify that secondary position because they were going after Leo Shepard in a trade earlier in the offseason. If they can somehow get a second, third round running back, I think they can fill that void and sparing Edgerrin James.
Look at the Western Division in the NFC. It's really not heavy, defensive heavy. So the truth is, if you can score enough points, you're going to win the division. And I think if they can get an explosive running back, they can score those points and steal that division.
They can get that guy in the second or third round.
You can get everybody in the second or third round. This is talking about an explosive running back.
But, you know, they have declared Leinart the starter, yes, but nobody believes that. Leinart is still going to have to earn this job.
Ken Whisenhunt did not draft Matt Leinart. He is not married to Matt Leinart. Young quarterbacks need support from their head coach, I believe. And I think for Matt Leinart, not being drafted by the head coach is an issue.
Well, I mean, they're going in the right direction. And again, the Seahawks are the team in that division. However, there's room.
Well, let's be honest. The Cardinals have headed this direction before.
Yes,
they've topped out right here.
They've been.
How do they take that next step where they can actually start to win the division year in, year out? They can start to threaten the championship kind of games. That's the difference, and that's what Ken Whisenhunt is hopefully going to make a difference in the long run.
Arizona's made their selection.
Well, we'll see what they do right here.
We're halfway.
Running back. DB.
With the 16th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, cornerback, Tennessee State.
Key, you got it. Tennessee State, Mel.
The Cardinals with the 16th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft were going to Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie,
USC up there.
defensive back and corner out of Tennessee State.
That was what made him a solid, maybe even early first-round pick, you would have thought. Then he kind of backed off a bit in recent projections, down to around Arizona, actually, in the last projection you do in terms of the first round and the way it could come off the board. But I think when you look at Rodgers-Cromartie, the height, 6'1.5", he's gained a little weight. He's in the 183 range now. It was about 172. He has ball skills. There's no question about it. Blocked a lot of kicks during his career. Very athletic. The question with Rodgers-Cromartie is, coming from 1AA, but I think he showed at the Senior Bowl practice he can deal with big-time receivers or 1A receivers. The toughness issue and run support. He's not a good tackler, doesn't throw his body around, and you talk about a situation more moving forward into the NFL, and you can't play with 10 men on the field against the run, and that's something he's got to prove. Is he tough enough to be a guy who will get you some tackles when you need to on the edge?
They are moving into our role, a former first-round corner.
Of Denny Green.
Yeah, of Denny Green's, two safeties, certainly. I love, when I went to the Senior Bowl, love this guy. Great athlete. He looks good enough to play at this level. He only has one kidney, but everybody said we don't have a problem with that.
And if he can play defensive back anywhere close to the way his namesake, Mr. Cromartie, played defensive back at San Diego last year, well, then Arizona just got themselves one hell of a pick. Detroit is on the clock, followed by Houston and Philadelphia as we roll on from Radio City Music Hall in New York.
Sign and drive a 2008 midsize H3 with zero due at signing. Tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra.
Good luck keeping up.
What is that noise?
Buddy, I'm driving the top down.
I just finally know what I have to do.
Iron Man, rated PG-13.
It's hot. So hot.
The servers are too hot! Save me!
I already have. We got an IBM Blade Center. It's the smartest way to optimize our IT. Runs cooler, saves energy.
The IBM Blade Center and quad-core Intel Xeon processor.
Junior Wraps, new at Sonic. Grab one today for some big Sonic taste in a smaller snack size. Pick your favorite flavors and start snacking. And stop in for happy hour. Half-price fountain drinks and slushes every day from 2 to 4 p.m.
Going somewhere?
What are you in for? Wi-Fi?
Break free from Wi-Fi with broadband access from Verizon Wireless. Click to connect and work in more spots than just hotspots on America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Now get a free broadband access modem. Monthly plan starting at $39.99. It's reliability to go. Verizon Wireless.
Snickers. Sound a feasting horn. The feast. It's ruined.
DirecTV gets really high marks for customer satisfaction. What do?
We change the customer. Because the people we got right now, they're terrible. They call in, they're angry all the time.
For customer satisfaction that beats cable, call 1-800-DirecTV.
ESPN's coverage of the 2008 NFL Draft is brought to you by Hummer, like nothing else. The new film Iron Man, in theaters Friday, May 2nd, rated PG-13. And IBM. When you're ready to stop talking innovation and start doing, visit ibm.com/doing.
Back in New York, a moments ago, the commissioner with the Detroit Lions pick.
In an earlier trade from the Kansas City Chiefs, with the 17th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Gosder Sherrillis, tackle, Boston College.
Now, we had a feeling that now 4 of the last 6 have been tackles, Mel. The typical slug at BC lineman, correct?
Well, he's a right tackle. He's not a left tackle, Boomer. If you watch him at left tackle this year, there were times he struggled, particularly early in the season in pass protection. But as a junior, playing that right tackle spot, did a real good job for Boston College. They had 2 backs, Andre Callender and L.V. Whitworth. Good, not great players, but they had 7 100-yard rushing games due primarily to Gosder Sherrillis. So while I think it is a slight reach, I'm 32nd on the board. He's a right tackle prospect. That's what the Lions need. They're going to run the ball with Jim Coletto, the new coordinator, Mort. So I think if he plays like
this is the second time in this draft that a player would come out of the same college as a player drafted earlier in this draft. And this player would be Gosder Sherrillis, offensive tackle out of Boston College, in which early in this draft, Matt Ryan, quarterback, was drafted with the 3rd pick, and he also came out of Boston College, and so they played alongside him. And with the 17th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Lions would select Gosder Sherrillis, offensive tackle out of Boston College.
Because they are going to get a personality now, a tough personality, not 7 passes a game like it was last year. They're going to run the football.
Well, so Sherrillis goes to Detroit, and now Houston is on the clock, but Baltimore has just traded to this spot. So maybe they're just antsy, right, with the quarterback. I mean, I got to assume that's what this is. But we will we'll get back to comment on that. Sherrillis, boy, that's a bad grade. He did better than that in the classroom. Come on now.
Oh, boy. Right? He got definitely worth a CC+. All
right, so we have second BC player to go in the first round. We'll be back with Baltimore on the clock, but let's go to SportsCenter right now.
All right, Boomer, Scott Reese in our SportsCenter studios, updating you on playoff action. First, in the NBA, Dwight Howard and the Magic lead their series with Toronto 2-1. This has been a great ball game. Chris Bosh, the fundamentally sound 2-hand throwdown. He's got 29, and we've got ourselves a 4-point game in the 3rd quarter. NHL, Henrik Zetterberg's 4th goal of the playoffs makes it 4-0 Wings over Colorado, trying to take a 2-0 lead in that series. SportsCenter, 11 Eastern, ESPN 2. Stay current with ESPN News. Chris.
We worked him out. All those big throws he likes in their offense. In cuts.
All right, we are back, and it's Joe Flacco on the phone. We just told you Baltimore traded, so you add it up. Let's see. Flacco, he lives in southern New Jersey, played football at Delaware, and if this is indeed the move for Baltimore, which we got to assume it is, he's within a couple of hours now of growing up and then a couple of hours of where he would play pro football.
I said earlier, Boom, there were ways to maneuver in the first round to get a quarterback, and I think for Baltimore it was Matt Ryan. They didn't want to give up all that to move up. They moved down with Jacksonville, then they moved back up. So I think the maneuverability of having those picks, and also you look at a guy like Joe Flacco, fear that somebody else may jump back into the first round and take him. They didn't want to get their 3rd quarterback. They want to get their 2nd highest rated quarterback. Cam Cameron has a very high opinion of Joe Flacco, and for the Ravens, you need a young quarterback. You had to come out of this draft with a guy that they thought could be a starting quarterback and a very good starting quarterback in this league.
Well, if this is indeed the case, a gentleman who we used to work with here for years and we love, the late Tom Mees, Delaware alum, would be smiling right now if Joe Flacco indeed a first-round pick from the Fighting Blue Hens to Baltimore. Let's check down with Baltimore now in Sal Paolantonio. Sal?
Well, Boomer, when you look at the Brian Billick era here in Baltimore, they started 12 different quarterbacks. That's second only to the Miami
Ravens
Dolphins,
with the 18th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft would go on to select Joe Flacco, quarterback out of Delaware. And I just wanted to end this off for the video, having a great quarterback being drafted in this draft, another great superstar, and out of a college that is now D1, Delaware, and he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens and would also become another great superstar quarterback in the National National
The
Football
Kansas City Chiefs, Carolina Panthers, Seattle,
He's still currently
and
playing
St.
in the
Louis.
NFL
And they
battle.
didn't
Currently
want to take
plays
that
for the
risk of
Bengals.
sitting there at 26 and
Thank
waiting,
you all for
and
watching
maybe
this video
Flacco
and
wouldn't be
stay
available.
tuned for
That's
more
why they made
content
the
out in
aggressive
the
move
future.
to go to
Subscribe.
get
Thanks.
Flacco at